Hey, what is going on, Crowdfunding Crusaders? How are you this evening? It's the brain of the mainframe, Nile Scala, here with the man, the myth, the legend, the co-host of my dreams, Mr. Billy Tucci. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Hang on, I'm trying to mute this.
And there we go. And the
All
fun
right.
begins.
Yeah, the fun begins. No, I got on the one. I got my Safari open, and then I have what's the other one? Chrome, Google Chrome open, so I can go and look at, so I can watch the video and answer questions and look what people are saying. So let me get to our page. Hang on.
You got it.
There you go.
So how's your day today, Billy? How we doing today? Any good news?
Oh yeah, lots of big news. I had a great day today. Holy crap, a lot of stuff. Did an interview with Bo Smith. Had a great conversation with my pal Brian Polito of Lady Death, and
Very
as
nice.
you guys may know, that at San Diego, this San Diego Comic-Con is our 25th anniversary for she and Lady Death, and we got something big going for it. So we were planning it and stuff, and it was awesome. But enough about me. What do you think of me?
What do I think of you?
First of all, I love your backdrop, bro. We got to talk about that. But let's get to our guest, one of my favorite people in the world, someone who we've wanted on the show since its very first inception. If you remember, when we were first discussing people, how we're both big fans of not only Bigfoot Bill, but especially Earthworm Jim, and we'll get to that. But well, let's go with it right now. So, all right, hello everybody out there. Welcome to our 19th episode of Crowdfunding Comics. 18th?
19th.
19th. Yeah. Oh, what a year that was. I'll tell you all about that. Oh, my God. 19 years old? Holy crap. Anyway, that led trip down memory lane. Anyway, so good evening, Crowdfunding Crusaders and Centurions the world over, and welcome to episode 19. This episode is off to college or going to get its first job or both, as long as it isn't being a bum on my couch eating all my food type of 19. But I digress. Why don't we welcome our newest guest, one of the very first people we want to do, someone that I've known for 25 years, our friend Doug TenNapel.
Doug, how are we doing tonight?
Crowdfunding Comics, everybody. Crowdfunding Comics.
Crowdfunding
Boy, Doug,
Comics.
you've been all over the news, all over the interwebs this week. And first off, congratulations on the astonishing success of the return of Earthworm Jim. That wonderful. I mean, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. And just holy.
Well, it could have happened to a nicer guy, but
right, it could happen to a nicer guy. Well,
just one or two.
Well, we know some of our millennial viewers, including my co-host over here, are geeking out because you are not only the creator of Bigfoot Bill, but something that we all love and adore, but you are the co-creator of freaking Earthworm Jim.
Yes.
That's right.
And don't worry, guys, we'll get to that.
Well, here it comes. Here it comes. And I like the frame. Look at that. This frame needs to be exported to every show on YouTube.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Nile, great job. And Nile, what's up with your backdrop? I love the destruction.
Well, my wife's busy upstairs, and she didn't want me to go in my basement. She says I'm too loud, so I had to go to my sub-basement. So I've got my bat computer here and my bat wing here, and so I figured I'll just hang out because
that looks like the basement of H.R. Geeker.
Yeah, like murder basement. Anyway, guys, Doug, I'm late. And because we were talking, doing a little prep sound check and everything like that, and Doug took a swig of something. And would you take a swig of?
Right here, baby. Guinness Extra Stout.
Did that. So then
bitter, just like life.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, my God, I got to get a Guinness, too. So I ran downstairs, and I got my...
Here we go. Tink.
Well, I'm going to pop this. I'm going to pop it. And you guys listen to this.
That's going to blow.
Ready for the sweet sound of success.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, I hear that. And then the little nitro.
It's got a good hiss.
It's got a good head on it. Yep, pour it diagonal, 45 degrees. 45 degrees, get a good head on it. Oh, it's like ice cream, guys.
It's like sweet chocolate milk.
Did you know that Guinness only has 4%?
Stew.
It only has 4% alcohol.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, there's not much
If you're
to
like
it at
a
all.
slobbering alcoholic, it's not going to do the trick.
No.
It's
You
great.
gotta do a car bomb.
Yeah.
Great.
But if you're a cartoonist. Oh, we
all right.
Well,
I'm really
I'm
regretting not grabbing my
Look
Guinness
at the
now.
blackened pan. I'd like to tell you a little story of me mother's Irish bean stew. And you want to know what makes me mother's Irish bean stew so particularly fantastic, Douglas?
What is it there, Billy? We frosted Lucky Charms.
Because she uses only 239 beans. And do you want to know why she uses only 239 beans in her Irish bean stew?
Was it because she's too cheap to 240?
No, because if she used one bean more, it'd be too farty.
Too farty. Arthur Farty's. Oh, here we go. Tink, my brother. It's so great to see you.
Do you have a beer?
No, I don't. I have Halls, if anybody wants to
He's a millennial. He has his Halls to celebrate Tink. Halls.
I do have Guinness, though. I've got my beer fridge right here.
Then open one up.
All right.
And be one of us.
Chatmaster Frank.
What are you, a
The
sissy?
peer pressure has come in.
No, this is the
I'm no sissy. I don't wear pants under this table. Who do you think you are?
This is the smoking lounge. This is the fraternity.
Oh, I go for a nice cigar.
There we go. You know, let me tell you something. Here, Doug.
Oh yeah.
That's what we're
talking.
talking.
Yeah, I'm doing.
I'll just
I'm
do
doing
the bottle.
this tonight. Some Copenhagen pouches. That's what we do.
Oh, jeez, look at
I'm
that.
in Tennessee, so it's like a pipe on the East Coast is like Copenhagen in Tennessee.
Well, bye, George. Let's
get in there.
All right. So we're not only doing a Guinness, but we have to make sure we have the glass too.
Black Cavendish.
There we go.
Look at that, dude.
Right.
That is
family.
You did a good job, Nile.
Hello, everybody.
We'll scrub that millennialness out of you in seconds.
We're always prepared for anything here.
Scrub the millennial sissiness out of you to make a man out of you.
Sissiness, indeed.
Like ice cream.
Can't say sissy.
It's like the best chocolate milk.
And children at home, I'm talking to children 8 and under. If you want to crack open a Guinness, you're manly enough. You're welcome to join us.
Yeah.
It's
as long as you're 8, you're double the alcohol content. It's legal.
Doug, it's like the story with Soupy Sales, and half the people won't know what we're talking about. But,
I know Soupy Sales.
His parents to go into their their mother's pocketbooks and take $1 and send it to the Soupy Sales show.
Yeah. Did you know his son was in that band Tin Machine with David Bowie? Soupy Sales' son, was a musician. I think there were 2 sons. 2 of his sons were in a band with David Bowie. Look it up, 1991, Tin Machine, and that was Soupy Sales' sons.
Oh, look at that.
Well, we learn something new every day.
Yeah, aren't I just a font of wisdom?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So now, should we get into it before the ballyhoo and the tomfoolery goes in full effect?
That's what I'm here for.
Why don't you go? Fire away.
All right, let's get down to business here. So, Mr. Doug, as a fan, yes, I am a millennial, someone who grew up playing Earthworm Jim, watching the cartoon, all that stuff. So I'd love to get to know a little bit of your origin story. When did you start drawing? What did you start drawing? What inspired you? How did Doug become Doug, the creator, today? Sure.
I've always only drawn. That's all I want to do is draw. I'm a draw guy. My loyalty is, and so I was born. I came out of the womb, dropped out of my mom's loins, an artist. I made a beautiful Marcel Duchamp splattering artwork as I hit the floor. So I remember and I was always self-taught, so I'm not that good. I've just done it so long and just really dedicated myself to it. I have a lot of bad habits that I don't know where the art ends, and where I begin. So drawn every day, and I would make my own little comics. When the Atari 2600 came out, I would play video games. We're talking about the late 70s, early 80s now. And I would staple my comics, or use what's the black stuff that comes off on the paper when you draw on the other side? Like carbon.
Oh, the carbon copy, yep.
I would draw them and sell 2, because I could get a good second comic out of that if I drew another one in carbon.
Oh, nice.
And I just dreamed of doing, I was raised on the Spielberg generation, the early 80s on film and Star Wars and all that. I was raised in Godzilla. And there's something about that kind of 60s and 70s fantasy that really kind of opened my mind up to love wonder. I love nature. I love character. They're just things that are really deep in me because of that rich background. And so I wanted to draw comics, not professionally. I never dreamed of being a professional artist. I thought I'd always have to have like a real job so I could have time just like screwing around and going crazy, in a studio or in a garage. I just always thought that. And then, so I was a fine art major from 1984 to 88. I did paintings in San Diego. I was a San Diego painter. I'd have art shows and all that. Oh, wow. Weird stuff, real cartoony and fun. I was never, like I said, I was never that skilled, so I didn't have control over how to make an artwork look realistic or anything. I could render the heck out of something. Anyone can with a pencil. You can draw a face if you spend enough hours on it and carve in the values. You can get pretty close if you're careful. But out of the fine art movement, I was always a self-taught animator. I did my own puppet animation movies since I was in 4th grade. Again, terrible, but I just did them because I always liked making things. So I would make puppets and I would put on shows and I would draw on my own t-shirts with Sharpie markers, little fantasy escapes and stuff like that. And then in 91, I got into animation. I had animated on the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Yeah, you got a stogie going, brother. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. And then I got up my first video game at Blue Sky Software in 1991. And I started animating in video games. That led to my movement to Virgin Games in 1993. And this is back in the early days of the cartridge, right?
Yeah.
It was exploding.
Oh, yeah. This is the
companies would just
Super NES Sega Genesis movement right here where things really blew up.
That's exactly it. So I was the lead on Jurassic Park Genesis.
Nice.
Here's some Jurassic Park, a little bit of help there. And from there, I went up to Virgin and met the Shiny gang, and they just had left Virgin to start their own company that Playmates Toys was funding. This is back in end of 93. They agreed to do one project or a 3-game deal, but the first project was allowed to be an open license. And so Shiny was interviewing me, asking if I could create anything cool. And I created Earthworm Jim over that weekend. Earthworm Jim and all the bad guys, I walked in because I created this stuff every day, my whole life. I was perfectly trained for this one moment to get this job. It's all I've got 100 sketchbooks just full of ideas no one will probably ever see. And I made that character. They brought me in as an animator. And that was it. I mean, we killed it on Earthworm Jim. Mm-hmm. It became Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Playmates was the toy company that did Ninja Turtles, so they were flush with cash and ready to blow this thing out, and they made a toy line. They had a partnership with Universal for animation, so Universal picked up a television series. I got an exec producer credit on it. I started getting into television.
Cool.
And it's just, so I've always been video games, TV shows, and comic books. That's what I just do. It's just fun. I really don't care if I ever made money at it or not. Just I always feel like I'm tricking the universe into paying me. So I can usually find a project that the universe will think is profitable that I also like. And I've done my own IP basically for 25, 27 years of my life. And sometimes that's a failure, right? Sometimes you're making $20K a year. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to go and storyboard on, some trash TV show, So I really stayed committed to my own ideas and my own stuff. And in struggling through it, Earthworm Jim being such a success, it opened every door since. You get one of those. And suddenly people, I can go into a pitch room. Excuse me. I can go to a pitch room and just say, I created Earthworm Jim. And, half the people will say, whoa, what did you bring? So I got to pitch to J.J. Abrams. I was in a partnership with Ben Affleck. I've worked for Steven Spielberg, funded my video game company. I've worked with Jeffrey Katzenberg, DreamWorks on story. Every major studio has picked up one of my comics as an intellectual property right. This is the 19th show. Earthworm Jim is my 19th graphic novel.
Wow.
Awesome.
So serendipity.
Yeah, a great body of work, and that's like when I met through and Keith Boski is watching right now.
Oh yeah, Keith Boski is an old friend of both of ours.
Yeah, we love him, and he introduced me, took me up there. You guys
he told me over and over. He goes, "You got to meet Billy Tucci. You got to meet Billy Tucci." He does she. I go, "I know she." But why Billy Tucci? And he just kind of knew that we would have a synergy. He goes, like, you guys are both cut from the same cloth in a weird way. And Keith Boski is a lawyer, but he's a very different kind of guy. He's an executive. He's an idea man. He's a sensitive soul. He's a great man and a great friend.
Yeah, he really is, and he's one of the most beautiful people I've ever met in my life. And he and Sari actually flew out to our wedding. You know what I mean? All the way on Long Island from Los Angeles, and I mean, and they just became family. I remember when I met him, he was just we met Debbie and I met him and Sari at San Diego in 1994. I'm like, dude, you were the coolest, because I'm like, I got to meet this guy. You know, I'm like, I got to talk to this guy. He was at my booth, but I'm like, I like this guy. There's something about this guy I like. And I just I'm like, dude, you're the coolest lawyer. I think I even said, dude, you are the best looking lawyer I've ever seen in my life. Are you really a lawyer? And then Debbie and Sari Keith's wife, they got along, they started talking, because we were new. We were completely new in the whole industry. And, you know, it was crazy, San Diego 94, because we just had burst onto the scene and we had such huge lines and everyone's pulling us apart and we didn't know who to trust or who to like. You know, or I mean, thank God we were taken under the wing of guys like Bat and Lash and Jackie Estrada. And,
I love Bat and Lash and Jackie Estrada. Those two are the heart of Comic-Con.
Yep.
Those two kids, they've been so good to me. I love them.
And it was just, they had a beautiful celebration of Batten's life at the Society of Illustrators, and it was really bittersweet, but it was so nice. It was, you know, just everyone talking about his art and the way he dressed, you know, and it's
the three-piece suit, baby.
Yeah.
Three-piece suit.
Yeah, and just how generous he was to everyone, and you know, and we would always have our little political discussions from way back in the day, the little wink, wink, nod, nod, you know, like
the secret handshake back then.
Oh yeah, exactly.
We were quiet.
Introduced me to the club, you know, it was great, and but like him and Jeff Smith and Vijaya and Terry and Robin Moore and Brian Polito and Fran, and those are the people I met. And they were also too, we were all kind of wide-eyed of how successful indie comics had just hit from the Image thing. Image blew up and it was like a giant machine. You know what I mean?
Even before Image was Jeff Smith and before that was David Sim. But Jeff Smith, when I saw Bone Kick just blow up.
Yeah.
By issue 6, I'm just starting my own company. Cartoon Comics. I'm just going to throw out these little singles. Man, those little singles became legendary.
Yeah.
Those floppies were sought after by stores. You couldn't even get some of them.
Yeah.
And of course, if you bought issue 6, the first thing you go is, I want issue 1 through 5. I got to get this thing.
Yeah.
And the graphic novels would come out. That guy, I actually think what that guy contributed is even longer lasting than Image. And I've got 10 books with Image. Like Jeff Smith is the guy who is the true pedestrian, because Image were all rock stars.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Liefeld and all those guys, and some of the Wildstorm guys, and Top Cow and all those guys who are great.
Yeah.
They were already rock stars. Jeff Smith was just a kid out of college and blew it up because of the work.
Yeah.
Because of the work on the page, everyone went nuts.
And he went against all sorts of, all conform. You know, he's a total nonconformist because, again, it was superheroes. It was all superheroes. And, you know, you had the Ninja Turtle thing 6-7 years earlier, 84, whenever that came out. And then
maybe ElfQuest.
ElfQuest.
But even ElfQuest never got to the thing of Jeff and of Bone. You know,
because Bone is one of the greatest comics ever made. It's still one of the greatest comics ever made.
Yep, and and I got to tell you why I became a huge fan of yours. And I did an interview today with Bo Smith. I think it's Boology. I think it's for Westfield Comics. And he said, who you like? And I had mentioned Jeff Smith and Darwin Cook and Mike Emming, guys. I love that cartoony style. I love
Me
that.
too. Mike Emming, all those. I love them. The simple, because you have to be strong. When you put down that simple style, you got to lay down something strong because you can't pollute it with detail and get away with the detail thing.
Yep. And because I'm scratching away or I'm over rendering because I'm not sure of myself.
I do that too.
And every one of those guys are humble to a T. And even Darwin, and Mike Allred had said it one time. And Allred too, though. But Mike said, but Darwin was the most confident cartoonist, the most confident artist I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And he's humble, like, I don't know. But when he put that brush to paper or a pencil and just sketching, we're in a bar, and like, give me that. We all would want to fight for it.
It's solid. I can't draw human anatomy that well. Like I do it, but I'm kind of, I'm a cartoony guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wacky. There's something about guys that know how to hinge a figure together that make it look so solid. And Darwin Cook is one of the top guys. He would just draw a human figure and it belonged together. Yeah. It was like, couldn't see anything but what he put down. Solidity.
Yeah. 5-6 lines,
Yeah, and then you have guys like, I forgot his name. Who's the watercolor painter guy that does the real detailed watercolor?
Alex Ross?
Alex Ross.
Yeah,
Alex Ross spends 100 times more time on a panel making a painted masterpiece that a cartoonist can do with a stroke with power.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. And even like what's it, Carl Barks? Who's the duck guy?
That's Carl Barks.
Oh my God, you know what I mean? But then you look at guys like Toth, and Dick. I mean, I'm just.
Dude, you got guys. That's my DNA. All those guys are my DNA. You and I could go. This is why we're kindred spirits, bro.
That's right. And I gotta say, though,
respect our elders.
Yeah, and we did meet Dave Sim, and I don't think Debbie liked him. I think he bothered her. He said something not around me though, because he never would say anything. I got along with him fine, but I'm like, this guy's a little off.
Well, he's off.
Yeah, and then Debbie's like, I don't like that guy. I don't
off,
I just don't like him because he
goes back to we don't judge the person, you judge the work.
Right.
Because I'm not gonna marry the guy. What do I care? I'm the guy's
right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no. Service played a big part in our She Sideblade battle for the independence. Like Service was like sort of the herald that came in the beginning of it. And I'm like, can I use Service? Would you mind? He's like, yeah, sure.
And David Sim was a big influence on Jeff Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeff Smith modeled his independent comics off of what Dave Sim did, and Dave Sim was kind of a mentor until he had a falling out with the JF. So
yes, and I think I think he might have been leaning towards that with Debbie, with my wife, and she kind of shut him down, and then he stopped because my wife's. I say things about my wife. My wife is German, Polish, Lithuanian, and mean.
Yeah, four things that are interchangeable,
so she'll cut
and you don't want to mess with.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with her.
But I don't remember them getting along. I just remember, and she was like, I don't like that guy, and she doesn't know anybody. Debbie doesn't know comics.
I always laugh at you. See the lovely Miss Tucci at Comic Cons every year because my wife, and you'll be lucky to ever see her step near a Comic Con.
Well, that's like Debbie will go to Debbie goes to San Diego.
She's always there at that opening booth. Lovely as hell. Gives me a big smile, and I just love her. You guys are so happy and so wonderful.
She loves. She always talks like, oh my God. She calls you the gentle giant.
Yeah.
And
good people.
Yeah, but then again, like I said, I'm going to New Jersey this week, and nothing against New Jersey, but Debbie's not going to New Jersey.
Oh, everything against Jersey.
Paris,
everything's legal in Jersey. And always behind you was Ben Edlund with the Tick and those guys.
Yes.
Yep.
Just I know Ben Edlund, and that's the thing that I love about Comic-Con. Back when it was smaller, you could just smell those people across the aisle. They were great. Just having them in the same room. It was so warm and small. And it's like, hey, let me look at your book. You can stop and look at a book. And now it's just like, shoulders.
Yeah.
Shoulder to shoulder.
There was a place for the old timers. Like now there are people that make, like Stan Sakai laughs at me when I say I'm an old timer. I've been there since '93.
Yeah.
But across the street there was that place called Cabo Cabo.
That's right.
And we all went, all of us. And I remember the tablecloths were made of paper. Like they put paper on, giant paper.
I draw on those.
And all of us were just sketching stupid stuff and talking and laughing. And I just
one day I sat there and I sat across from Bernie Wrightson.
Wow.
And I'm just sitting there going like, I'm not going to draw in front of you. I'm not gonna draw. Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Those were the days, my friend. Those were.
And Stan, you mentioned Stan Sakai too. That guy's he's one of the most beautiful guys I've ever met in comics. And my son loves, my 12-year-old loves that.
It's Soloff calling. Every time. He knows I'm live.
He knows you're live. He does it.
I'm gonna yell
That's
at him,
what a
Why didn't you
Soloff
silence-
does.
Soloff. I'm live. I'm on my show live. Why do you
Put
do
him
this?
on mic. Put him on mic.
He's got to go on the spot now.
Because that's what I do.
Yes.
I never know you're alive.
Good day. So, well, maybe you should follow your old pal, Billy Tucci. Good day, sir.
I do.
Well, we know he's not a subscriber.
That's good. You just outed your friend.
Soloff.
Hey, to everybody who's watching, you guys gotta subscribe. Get on the like button and subscribe to this channel, and more importantly, take the link of this channel and put it out on Twitter and on your Facebook and all of your social media. Tell them this is a great place where a bunch of guys talk about comics. People love that entertainment. Family-friendly, fun, positive, kicking ass in comics. That's what people want to see. Spread the word. They don't have a marketing budget. You're not going to market this thing into existence. It takes the fans. This is a ground bottom up. This is about crowdfunding. So you guys got to participate. I know someone who has my own YouTube channel. It's hard. It's hard, and they're just under 1,000. Seems like we can get some more subs. So I hope those of you guys who are my fans and who are listening, I put this out on Twitter. I want you guys to put it out on Twitter. Tell your friends, subscribe.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Doug. And the thing is, and we can even get to there's been a lot of controversies. There's a lot of controversies always in comics.
Oh, yes.
Personally, with me, I don't get involved in it because I really don't give a shit. If anyone has a problem with me, they can say to my face.
Yeah,
but
controversy. Let them look at your work.
Yeah.
Controversy.
Well, I've also been lucky. I mean, all these people, like the people now watching and stuff, these guys, you guys changed my life, so I appreciate it. And I think we should, and if you want to, we can get into the stuff that's going on because it's always fun to gossip too a little bit.
I'm good with gossip too. I'll say anything, anybody, anywhere.
But but we like to keep it positive because there is a lot of, a lot of animosity out there. Like when
Twitter's a shit show, and it has no marriage with the fun that we have in comics.
Oh yeah, I found these guys. I was talking about a blockchain, and what's a blockchain? And because someone sent me a message saying, "Oh, do you know so-and-so blocked you?" And he's another comic creator. I never met this guy. I didn't even know who the hell he is. And I'm like, why did this guy block me? So I was kind of curious. I wasn't really upset because I never met the friggin' guy. I don't really care. But then that part of me, because I just got into Twitter in the past like 4 months or so, and then I'm like, well, why would he block me? What did I do?
I don't know you.
But then I get mad. I'm like, what the, then I turn into like, what the F did I do? Who does this son of a bitch blocking me?
Went straight to East Coast in about 15 seconds. You're sitting there holding up the Hamlet monkey skull going, what am I?
Yeah.
This guy blocked me.
My skull.
By me.
I usually just weep to the Colonel. And I just
okay, give us some Hamlet.
Colonel, my God, Colonel, help me.
Why? Why, Dad? Why?
Right, well, my little Ronald Reagan, I asked, Dutch for help.
Oh, yeah.
Dutch, my God. Or Leonidas. I have Leonidas.
Leonidas, there you go. I went to Reagan's funeral, dude. The funeral where they let you walk past they had the casket out. I went to the Reagan Library. It was awesome.
Wow.
It was silent too. A line of people, like a quarter-mile long. They would funnel us through. You walk by that casket, man, and it was just silence.
Right. I remember just all of my friends calling us because we were Reagan kids. We all grew up where I grew up in Long Island. We were all like lunch pail, hard hat kids. All our fathers were cops or firemen type of thing. I grew up in a real diverse town. Yeah. If you ever saw Midnight Express, Billy Hayes, the hash smuggler,
that's right.
Reefer addict guy is from my hometown.
Cool.
But, and so is Peter Lemongello, but I don't know if anyone knows who he is.
Lemongello?
Did you ever hear Peter Lemongello?
Peter Lemongello. His name's not Lemongello. It's Peter Longgello. Is that it?
I don't know. Lemongello?
He was some guy that the mob boosted up, saying he was Smooth Rock or something. What was it called? Mood Rock. And he was Hey, well, he lived in our town, and we ride our bikes by his house. And one time I saw him talking on the phone at his mother's house. It's Peter Lemongello. Anyway, the hell with him. But
Lemongello's in the bottom of the ocean now.
yeah, he's wearing cement shoes somewhere.
Wearing cement
Size
shoes.
11.
Feeding the fish with his torso.
Yeah.
What he's doing.
But remember that one thing with the Reagan funeral? I remember all of my friends started calling me from all across the country because I remember when that election night in 1980, and I was a kid, and my father had died when I was 5, and my mother was raising 6 of us. And she had her own small business. She had a clothing manufacturing shop. And I just remember my sister had just turned 18, so she was able to vote. And I remember my sister, her boyfriend, who's now my brother-in-law, watching this with my mother in our den in front of the TV. And I just remember them calling the states for Reagan. And I remember, I got to tell you, it was almost like a cloud was lifted over my mother's head, over this household's head, that this spirit of hope, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just what he did. And that really, that reflected upon all of us kids, because then we started, we were Reagan kids. Like, we could do anything. We're Americans. Who the hell are you?
Right.
So, what we can't do, type of thing. We're the
That's
greatest nation in the world. We're the most generous nation in the world. We're the ones that more of our men have died, and for another's freedom than all the other countries combined.
More American blood is poured overseas. Yeah, we do it right. Fine, we make mistakes. We have some apologies to do, but overall, there is no greater force for good in the world.
Ever.
It's not only building up, eradicating poverty here with our capitalism, but our capitalism sustains the world. They build up.
Indeed.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I sure do. So it gets, so that's why I get a little pissed off when you see this stuff going on now. And we have to have some political shows, Nile, coming up maybe.
Yeah, Billy, do you know about my, on the Earthworm Jim tier, I have a tier for Beale Air Force Base. Did you hear about that?
I saw the photos. Can
See
you
that right
Do you
there?
mind telling us about that?
Dude, I'm freaking effing excited.
Yeah.
My buddy, who I went to high school with, goes all the way back to 4th grade. We would go to church together. We just loved each other. He was an awesome guy. He's this big hotshot in the Air Force Reserves now. And he's like the mean old man on the base at Beale Air Force Base in Sacramento. And he has all these kids. And one of these kids is the captain of a KC-135. This whole base is dedicated to refueling planes. Mm-hmm. And he is a millennial and a huge Earthworm Jim fan. He found out that this guy went to school with me and said, I get to pick the nose art, because in the Air Force, when you're a captain of a ship, of a plane, mm-hmm. You're in charge of the whole thing. They put your name on the side, like it's yours. Just a 22-year-old kid. And he got to pick the nose art. And he said, I want the guy who made Earthworm Jim to do the nose art. You think he'd do it? So my friend said, he'll send you a sketch. So I sent a sketch of old Granddad. This is 1/4 the size of what's on the side of the plane. I designed it, did the illustration in a day, knocked out some Photoshop work on it. They approved it. And then they just commissioned it 2 weeks ago, flew me out there, and they did the big unveiling. And that whole base came out and applauded me. And I just fell apart.
I can't imagine, right?
I did not feel. I don't want any of you guys clapping for me, because what you guys do, what the military does, and every artist who gives our military shit, he's biting the hand that feeds him. Because the first thing that happens when totalitarians come after you, they go after the artists and the voices and the free speech people of the world, that we're allowed to make any screwed up thing that we want, including criticize our own military, is purchased by the military to keep evil men out. Those guys are my heroes. So anyways, I did a tier. I'm going to get back to them on Earthworm Jim. I have a tier where we will send 10 books to Beale Air Force Base. And as a reward, if you do that, I will send you one signed Earthworm Jim book. So my book delivers in this December. So I'm going to send Beale 800 books, one for every person on the base gets an Earthworm Jim book.
Oh, that's
They're
awesome.
huge fans of mine. They said this plane is going in. It's going to be inserted in theater. It'll be flying around Syria. It'll be flying around the China Seas, and we're taking you with us. I said, yeah, you're taking me with you. So I'm committed to that base. I'm going to get that base. 800 books, and my backers are already helping me.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
That is fantastic.
I'm hardcore in love with
bless
this. And I'll tell you something, Billy. This is my thing about millennials. You get on that base, you've never seen more respectful, chiseled, disciplined ass kickers.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Any of these guys could just break me in half. I'm so confident and respectful. It's going like, oh, we're in. Everything's going to be okay, guys. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Don't cross these guys.
I remember, speaking of those what are they, KC 135s or something, or 130?
KC 135 is the refueling.
Yeah, I remember we were, September 11th, 2001. Was of course the attacks on our country, and then we had a planned hunting trip out to Montana for November for gun season, and we were flying in November. It was just before Thanksgiving, I think, and we're flying to Montana, and the pilot gets over there and he says, for all of you on the starboard side, the right-hand side, I want you to take a look out the window, because you're going to see something that I've never seen before, and I don't know if you'll ever see it before either. And we looked out, and off of our wing, a mile or so away, not that far, was a KC 135 flying like this, refueling.
With the snorkel out.
A B-2 stealth bomber that's just coming back from Afghanistan.
Oh,
that's like, whoa,
Billy, I got to lay down in the tail section. You lay down on your stomach, and there's two joysticks that control the hose. And they let me lay on that pad and look out the back window and control the joysticks.
Wow. Now, how old are those kids that are doing that? I mean, they got to be in there, right? 19, 20?
Yeah, they're kids.
Wow.
I'm telling you, man, they're kids.
There
19, 20, 21, 22, and very few old guys there. I got the wing commander came. They gave me all these. They gave me They kept palming me these challenge coins.
Nice.
I got four challenge coins. They're beautiful.
Well, you better bring one. You got next convention you're at. You better bring one, because I'm going to hit you with one, and you're going to owe me a beer. Now, getting back, before we get back to getting back to why we have you on here, we booked you before we even knew that you were going to bring back Earthworm Jim. I mean,
you booked me before I knew I was going to bring back Earthworm Jim. Dude, this is new.
But going back to Reagan, I went to the Reagan Library.
Yeah.
And I went to go pay my respects to Nancy and Ronald Reagan's graves.
Yeah.
And one of the groundskeeper walked up, or a security guard or something like that, and I said, and he just started telling me a story that when Reagan went to go to Simi Valley, right? It's in Simi Valley, and he's it's over the Palisades, looking over the Pacific Ocean, and he's looking at, well, Mr. Reagan, this is where your burial plot will be, and he goes, I just want to let you know that you're going to have the best view in all of California, and Reagan turned to the guy and said, yeah, well, that's if you're standing up.
He's so good.
Yeah.
He was a quick wit, man.
Yeah, so to Dutch.
Yeah, here's to him.
Yeah, here's to him. So, all right, Nile, I know that because you're freaking out because you're a big Earthworm Jim fan. And, I know you're a little crazy.
Who's
you were talking
Earthworm
about
Jim?
Genesis games, all that stuff. So why don't you ask our illustrious guest some questions here, please?
Oh, I will. So, my friends, now, one thing you've worked with since Earthworm Jim went from a video game to cartoon to comic, and you've worked in all these different medias, which media is actually one that took the cake for you?
Comics.
Comics all the way?
Yeah, no question about it. Comics.
Would you ever consider bringing Earthworm Jim back as an animated series, or maybe a one-shot like Netflix movie or something, or mainstream?
And I'm that's part of why I did this graphic novel, is to help the rights holder, who is Interplay, be able to pull something like that off, to take this book and drop it on Netflix's lap and say, and I've already had, in fact, a conversation with the Netflix exec who called me inquiring about the Earthworm Jim rights.
Awesome.
So that's what I'm trying to do, is breathe some life into this thing and show them the execution of a story that would very well make a great animated series or animated movie. That's my goal.
Oh, awesome. I hope to see that goal come to fruition.
So I'm working on it. But the reason why I like comics is for everything that I don't like about production. Comics you can do by yourself. Like, we could all sit down and knock out our Star Wars in a year. You write it, direct it, cast it, light it, the story. I mean, just the story. So all of us, we may never get to direct a Star Wars. I'm a frustrated director. I may never get to direct a Star Wars, but I get to I have 18 graphic novels, 18 movies in my head that I did get to make by myself, largely for free. So it's not like a little indie production that'll take you like 6 years to pull off. That's really, there's a satisfaction there as a storyteller that other mediums don't offer me. I can't do it by myself on a TV show. I can't do it by myself on a movie. I can do it by myself sitting right here at this table. I'm going to do an epic Earthworm Jim, 5 books, epic, a giant story by myself, and it will get done, and the people will read it. I'll have a tiny audience. Maybe it's only 5,000 people. But I'll take that over the amount of audiences that are seeing my movie right now, which is 0.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So now, Earthworm Jim allowed me as a child to get away from, and I won't knock him for any fans out there, Super Mario, Sega, Zelda. It offered me this whole crazy new world, right? And then to get to be able to play him and then sit there eating my sugary cereals or what have you, or actually knowing me, I was probably looking for like a salami sandwich or something, and watching the shows. What inspired the creation of the character in the whole world that he lives in?
It just comes out of my heart. That is going through my blood. And if you look at the reason why, Mario is a trash character. There's nothing to him. There's nothing in there. That's a Japanese company trying to do something American. They're frankly inspired by Disney. And they, for them to make that shape and make that character, they go, oh, all Americans, they look like Italian. They're plumbers and they're this. And like, there's nothing to them. Oh, hello, I'm a Mario. Sonic, trash character. There's nothing to him. He doesn't have a voice. He's not a person. He was made overseas to be a video game thing that just kind of moved. There's nothing to him. All these characters, the ones that came out, Zelda, same thing. There's no earthy, dirty, gritty Lord of the Rings to that elf, to the pointy ears. It's like it looks like a sticker or an icon. Earthworm Jim, you look at him, he's got blood coursing through his veins. This guy's plight, this is America, man. This is real. There's just something about character where I just think you have the reader, from the moment they take a look at it, they have to believe there's a soul in that character.
Yeah.
And then they have to see that he's in some kind of trouble, so they empathize with him. That's my whole gig. And I just think he's got a slight disrespect without crossing the line and being snarky. He's not like sitting there going, hey, everybody, look how cool I am. He's an idiot. You know what I mean? So you're kind of rooting for him. Any insult that he would make would always be entirely accidental. So he gets a pass. And we laugh at him because of that. And the absurdity of the character. This to me is like what is great about America being so iconoclastic. I'm in Tennessee. I was born and raised in California. These are 2 different countries. I mean, you go to a different state, and it is completely eclectic different. You go to Oregon, it's different. You go to Texas, it's different. Go to Jersey, New York, Washington, D.C., Florida, and yet we're united. So we're about just like incredible stuff just pinging off and screwing everywhere. So Earthworm Jim, there's a cow in there that you launch. That randomness, I think, courses through our veins. It's why we like They Might Be Giants or cobbled together weird surprises that happen in humor and stuff. I think that's Earthworm Jim just fell out. I mean, I make that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And
constantly brewing in your head.
Yep.
Yeah, my brother's name is Jim. My brother's a coal miner, or he was a news journalist, coal miner. Now he's a youth pastor or an assistant pastor. His name is Jim because I wanted something very American, very Jim Kirk. The super suit on all the musculature on it looks like a normal, superhero costume. The princess is beautiful. She's a bug girl. Peter Puppy, you step on his tail, he transforms into a giant monster that's very Hulk-like. There's a lot of, and then they'll sit there and when they launch the cow's like, he's not a cartoon cow with big boogly eyes. He's an anatomically correct cow because it's funnier.
Yeah.
For the iconoclast of launching the cow, there's cows and then a little dog, Peter Puppy. It's just fun to kind of correct this stuff together. That's a very postmodern form of art, and I'm actually against postmodernism. But in this, one thing that I like about it is kind of the eclectic correct that it is.
Mm-hmm.
It was really a fun form. And you see it in all of the forms of humor. Monty Python did it first, where they would really do something straight and then just and very philosophically dense, and then have some guy come over and talk about pooping or something, just like the non sequiturness of it.
Yeah.
That's what I was always into. It just it's me.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at my work, I mean, Earthworm Jim is like a signature. All of my work is like a signature. I'm every bad guy, every good guy in my stories, every background. It just pours out of me. It's my opinion. It's what I think of entertainment.
So that's very good. So one thing that kind of just brewed into my head while listening to you talk earlier is you said that you were a self-taught artist with
Yes.
what you've done, and you've made it into almost every form of entertainment media, unless there's an album I don't know about. So what?
I made an album.
Did you?
Yeah, I can't even play an instrument, and I started a band called Truck, and we cut an album.
There you go. So how did you get into all this? I mean, was it just the right place, the right time? You were able to move in. I mean, you're learning. Did you self-taught animation, all that stuff? Or?
Yeah, self-taught. What I do is I self-teach myself something, and then I go and get some instruction on it.
Okay.
So once I get to a certain very low talent base, because you can't go far without wisdom coming in. So I learned when I was a fine artist in college, I learned some design principles about rhythm and contrast and clear silhouette. Those are also all reinforced in animation principles by the 9 Old Men. I started getting training by animators on Earthworm Jim. My main trainer was Mike Dietz, is the best animator I've ever known, and one of my great friends. He was, 1/3 of the animation department on Earthworm Jim. I took probably in the late 90s. I didn't feel comfortable with my figure drawing at all. Like I can't draw women. I still can't. Sorry, Billy. I took figure drawing for about a year and a half at the Jeff Watts studio in San Diego. Just got pounded there, but the pounding was good because I got much better. I had done Gear, the comic was my first comic, and I was just trying to do like Frank Miller meets Ren and Stimpy. It's like these cats with these very big chiaroscuro, high contrast, black inky pages. But I always wanted to do Creature Tech. Was my first main big book with image. I knew I didn't have the human anatomy chops. So I took a year and a half of human anatomy, and I was inspired by Glenn Keane, the animator. When he did Tarzan, he went to France for 4 years to learn human anatomy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I just thought, hey, it's never too old. You gotta learn this stuff. When I laid down the lines on Creature Tech, it just clicked. And I was very inspired by Kyle Baker. I heavily referenced You Are Here, his indie book, which is, I think like Vertigo. It's fantastic. He's one of my favorite, because he's an animator guy too. I've always been inspired by Mike Mignola. Has always been just kind of a North Star as far as quality and style goes. I'm a big fan of his work. And I pounded out Creature Tech. I photocopied it. My agent sent it around Hollywood. Drew McWeeny on Ain't It Cool News reviewed the stack of photocopies and said it's one of the best movies he'd ever read.
Wow.
We sent it around Hollywood, and within 2 hours, I had 3 bidders on it. I made $500,000 on a stack of photocopies. And I went, this comics thing is kind of cool.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I have to apologize. I got a text from one of my friends who's watching and asked me why I keep picking my teeth, and and people look, because I was eating smart food, and I'm sorry.
Toothpicker.
But I was eating this crap. It's not crap. No, it's actually very good and healthy. It's popcorn. I was eating popcorn, and I got kernels in my teeth, so that's what. So
popcorn's not smart.
It's not. It's not. Well, I'm not smart, so
Well,
Beef
but that's why
jerky.
you're eating it, because
That's
it's
why I'm
smart
eating
food.
because
You
I'm
know?
Beef
smart.
jerky,
I'm
smart.
smart. Like I'm not dumb. Like everybody says, I'm smart. All right. Anyway,
So,
so Doug, can you give us a little insight for those who have put together their own books or putting together? What have your experiences going that into the licensing of it all?
Yeah,
Like with the cartoon and the toy line. Were you
yeah.
did you find that like how does that something like that happen? Do they come to you? Did you go to them about that? Etc.
It's a little bit of both. It's usually them coming to you. So a lot of the first time creators and the young up and comers who have a great idea, they get a little mixed up. Like they think, how do I work really hard at getting an agent? And instead, I'd rather hear them say, I'm going to work really hard at making the greatest book that ever existed. That's the Jeff Smith way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He had people falling over themselves for their book. And I'm always kind of suspicious of the person who is looking for an agent, because I think deep down inside they know they're not great. So this goes back to, there's another great American right-wing principle, is personal responsibility.
Indeed.
If I can't get something picked up, it's not that guy's fault and that guy's fault and that guy's fault. There's only one guy's fault, that is, and that's that I didn't make a book that made everyone completely freak the F out, fall over each other, and put this in front of every agent in Hollywood. Because that's what our work should do.
Yes.
So there's no excuses then. Whose fault is it really if I'm not successful? Me. And I've made a ton of comics that this is after Earthworm Jim, right? So it's not like I walk in the door and people throw money at me because I'm Earthworm Jim. They read a comic and they look at it and some of them just go, that comic sucks, I'm not going to buy it. Good job on Earthworm Jim. So you don't need the fame. You need to make the thing that someone can't turn down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what I think of every time I sit at the table. You got to make something that even, let's say, SJWs will love. Like I'm going to seduce them. I'm going to make them laugh so hard and feel so wonderful at the story that they go, Doug's a dick, but I'm going to buy this book.
Yeah.
And that's how I do it. And I have
the creator from the property.
Yeah, and they're having a hard time with that now because they're going like, I literally don't like Doug's work because of his politics. Like they're falling under a spell, and they're just going to become anorexic because they're going to that they're willing to consume because of their ideology is going to kill them. Whereas I'll buy anything, anywhere, from anyone if it's good.
Sure.
So we're more robust and healthy. Our immunities, we're also eating little bits of immunities. We're getting a vaccination as we taste their wares. We're aware of them. They're never aware of us, Billy. They don't know what the hell a Christian is. They don't know what the hell a Republican is. They don't know what the hell an American is.
Right.
They're so in the little window that, and I don't want to do that either. Like I said, they're not my problem. I'm my problem.
Yeah.
I don't want to start ripping on other people and attacking their work for their politics, because we know that's a human nature thing. So this whole political discussion is really about be aware. In anything that you hate in the other person, just point it back at yourself and just say, where am I doing that? That is an old biblical ideal of first remove the plank from your own eye before you remove the grain of sand from the other guy, the grain of dust from the other guy, because it knows human nature. Human nature is we have perfect 20/20 vision of everyone else's mistakes, completely blind to our own.
Right.
We want to walk through life blind.
Yeah, and even if Nile, if you remember, we had Sora Song. Is that how we say her last name?
Song.
Sora Song on, and she is she's got her master's in psychology. She was going for her doctorate and decided she wanted to do comics. She was burnt out of school and art, and we asked her a similar question, and she said that it's a reflection of their own selves. They are so unhappy within themselves. Yeah. And it could be from the election, and they were so shocked, and they haven't gotten over it yet. That's where they're trying to come with crap and all this stuff. They didn't get their way or whatever. But they're so unhappy with themselves and their own lives that they have to go after people that disagree with them just because of who you voted for.
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something crazy like that. I mean, it's insane. It really is.
Yeah, I went through the Obama desert, 8 years in the desert,
Yeah.
and I found incredible joy and happiness. You double down on your work, you bond with your friends, you hope that maybe something will go different next time. But the idea that and I'd hear my friends go like, if Obama wins, it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
And there was something in me that said that. There was something in me that agreed with that. But it was not true. It was an exaggeration and it was a spell. And instead, I just said, it's just a different time now. And at the next election, I don't know who's going to win. I know who I'm voting for pretty easily. But the world isn't going to end. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to have my family, I'm going to have my friends, I'm going to have my faith. I'm going to have my art table here. And I'm going to be hanging out.
Yeah.
And life is going to be good as long as we have the freedom to do that and have these chats and stuff like that. As long as that goes, they may take it away from us, by the way. But while we have it, I'm not going to complain too much. I think we're incredibly, incredibly fortunate.
Absolutely. Out of our
Americans are born at the finish line.
What was that, Billy?
Out of our cold, dead keyboards. I have an old keyboard here.
Yeah.
They're not.
Well, like you said, at the end of the day, your problem is yourself, and you gotta look out for yourself. You gotta do what's right by you, and a lot of things people do, it's like escapism, and they get involved and become passionate with no information, or not even no information, just misinformation. And in their mind, everything is good, and this is how it should be. But at the end of the day, be a good person, respect people, and move on to bigger and better things. Focus on bettering yourself.
Picture. Play the long game. Play the long game. I'll take a long win any day over a short victory. And I think a lot of us everything's so instant and so quick that we go into a complete panic, myself included, throw our hands up in the air and go like, everything's falling apart. That's the short game. Think of the long game.
Yeah. Well, sometimes things do need to fall apart a little bit so we can build them up and make them stronger and better. That's how we learn and grow.
And to the young creators out there, I mean, make a fist and fight. I totally believe in fighting, but all the fighting is internal. It's like, I have to be more disciplined. I'm at a war with myself. I'm not disciplined enough. I'm at a war with myself. I'm not getting up enough. I'm at a war with myself. I'm spending too much time on Twitter and not at the art table. I'm at a war with myself. I'm not being a good family man outside of this art room when I'm drawing. I'm at war with myself. Yeah. It's like I have 1,000 things to improve, and I actually have 100% control of how I want to fix me. I have zero control over how I'm going to fix you.
Right.
So let's focus on what we can do. To the creators, you have 100% control of what you draw right now. Why in the world can't you make the next Adventure Time?
Yeah.
In universe.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And all the tools are here. And that's one thing about our show is helping get people out there, creators like yourself, hearing your stories, presenting your work, but also a little, this is how you do it. I mean, everything's here. Look at what everyone's doing. So we have, guys like yourself who are well established to, guys that I'm going to say the name and a lot of people are going to be like, who is that? But their product is awesome. They're fearless. They don't listen to any of the BS. They don't take sides of anything. And they do them by creating awesome things for all of you.
Yeah, we got some cool Centurions with our crowdfunded call out coming up later on like that, and they seem to espouse those virtues themselves and all.
Vestige. I support all indie comics. I support Vestige.
Well, you're not supposed to give away. We're supposed to build up to it.
Oh, I support whatever you bring up.
Will be for Vestige, and we'll highlight that and everything.
No, I meant the Vestige, just like the ethereal Vestige. I support that concept. I don't know what comics come. What comic are you talking about?
Oh, forget. I thought is that who we giving the crowdfunding call out to, Nile?
Well, that's that crowdfunding call out time.
Is it? You want to do that quick?
Yeah. Well, this is all. We're trying so hard to fight a segue. And this is a segue right here.
We can I actually have 2 crowdfunding callouts. We can do one if you like, our first one. And then one crowdfunding call actually goes to a viewer that's been, making some awesome comments and being great guests in the chat. Happened to mention an Indiegogo he just launched, or she, I'm sorry, I don't know who it is. But, we're going to check it out live on the air. You know, it's the first time we're going to actually just take something from the audience. We'll check it out live, and we'll do that at the end of the show. But for our first crowdfunding comics call out, we have, and they're going to be guests on our show on Monday, Vestige #1.
Oh. Drawn by
Graphic
Donald
novel.
DeLay, written by Gat Hanzo, right?
Yeah, it looks really beautiful.
So we'll play, if you guys don't mind, we'll play the video here for anyone that hasn't seen this yet.
Certain ancient relics wield inherent supernatural power. Power that has already secretly changed the course of human history. Vestige, Volume 1, sets the stage for an ever-expanding epic tale of a world on the brink of modernism, but with its future yet to be determined, linking the events of recorded history through the influence of legendary weapons of the past, created by Gattori Hanzo and brought to the page by Donald DeLay, with a cover by the most acclaimed comic book artist of our time, Ethan Van Sciver. Vestige. Will you stand with us? What's it to be then? Will you fight for good or for evil?
So this is actually a project that I have been watching since about launch. And then I we get a lot of guys that reach out to us. Hey, we've got this, we've got that. And, I try to get to everything in a timely fashion as I can, but we get flooded with requests. But I did, as actually that art called me, then I read the story. And I think that it's a great concept of these, historical objects that also actually grant power. So it's like, historical fan fiction, which is really cool.
Boom.
And that cover, the cover by EVS, beautiful. You'll always get beautiful cheddar. The hair's got great design in it. This is nuts. This is going to be good.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it.
Good for them, and they're kicking ass with it.
They are kicking ass with it. It looks like
Donald DeLay he's done a bunch of art. Brutus the Badass. I know his other work, and I've been on a show with Gat Hanzo before, and of course everyone knows EVS. But it's important to back the books early and deep, because that is a force multiplier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys haven't backed this and you're into indie comics, these guys, Gat's, I believe, a first timer. I don't want to insult him if he isn't, but you gotta support these things early on, because it's a force multiplier. That's all I can say as a Indiegogo guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a multiplier, because success begets success every time someone backs it. When they go out and tweet it and say, I backed it. And then even if you don't want to back it, throw the link out so other people see it. Maybe other people want to see it is just as important, because you don't have no one has a marketing budget.
Yeah.
Correct.
If you float it out there, no one sees this stuff if you don't make them see it.
Mm-hmm.
4 days left, please. Doug, I was scrolling through and I just saw one that I keep going back to. Comics Legend wants to know, will you have a similar $500 tier like Bigfoot Bill on Earthworm Jim? Signed book with head sketch, sketchbook, original Earthworm Jim drawing, and name in the credits? Will you have a big top tier like that for the new one?
I don't have one now. I do have a sketch Earthworm Jim. They're talking about a bigger kind of watercolor thing like this I was doing on the last campaign, like full big Earthworm Jims. I could do it. I definitely have other perk tiers I need to still do. The $500 tier is always weird and tough, because not a lot of people go into that, right? That's some big cheddar.
Yeah.
So you really got to make it worth your while.
Mm-hmm.
I did very well on that tier with Bigfoot Bill. I actually did decent. I think I made about 14,000 on that. I think I do 30 of those.
Oh wow!
So
that's a lot of cheddar, right?
That's a lot of cheddar, and it really helps.
Explain to our audiences out there, what is cheddar?
Cheddar's money. Money. So if you want to see what cheddar buys you, this is Bigfoot Bill. It's a 9-inch by 12-inch hardbound book. So because we raised $200,000 on this thing, it allows for gold leafing and embossing and a separate shiny these two colors. There's a red leafing on there too. These end sheets here, this stock of paper is like card. It's thick. It allows me to add more pages. This is a 98-page book. Earthworm Jim is starting at a 160-page book. Really?
Hot damn. Now
I gotta do a page to 2 pages a day, Monday through Saturday, for 3 months.
Wow.
It's gonna be bad.
So now that I've got Earthworm Jim, the comic book, up on the screen. Billy, think we get into a little chat of Doug just explaining about his campaign?
Yes, Doug. Well, after 26 years, he's returned. Jim's returned, and have at it. My gosh, I mean, it's obvious. Tell us about it if you don't mind.
Sure.
Story. It's the comic book.
Sure.
We're all here about you. This is your show. Again, our plan was to do 45-minute shows.
It doesn't work.
We're going over now, so we're already an hour and 15 minutes. So I apologize, but Nile and I could talk all freaking night.
Yeah, till the wheels fall off, buddy. All of us. You, me, and you. Us three in beer.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm almost due for another one.
Yeah,
I'm ready to go crack another one open too. Okay, Earthworm Jim. This is the story that has just wrenched my heart for 27 years because I've been making 18 graphic novels. This is the one story I couldn't tell because when I started the video game, you can't fit a giant epic into a cartridge. There's just not enough space.
Yeah.
So I moved on into comics, and then I had a problem getting the rights. So for the last 2 years, I've been trying to wrestle with the rights. The rights suddenly popped into my lap. Basically, we struck a great deal for me to do as many Earthworm Jim comics as I want to make. And I sat down, and I'm writing. I finished the note cards on it. The 160-page first chapter. Over there on my whiteboard is the big 5-story arc across them all. And I wrote the biggest honkin' frickin' hero epic I know how to write with Earthworm Jim. It's very satisfying. I'm very happy with it, but it's going to be a lot of work. But and in a way, the character is so big. It's so much bigger than me, right? It took off and it's on its own. That how can I ever write something good enough is what I'm afraid of. Because everyone's expectations are so high, right? So I'm standing on my tiptoes as a writer, and I'm 6'8". So I'm standing on my tiptoes, reaching as high as I can to write as best I can to do something worthy of the name. And I don't know if I'm adequate. I'm going to go for it, though. I'm going to destroy this thing. Oh, I've got, that's the original. So the original cover right there on the left. This is the cover. And then the other cover is a deluxe making of book where that cover is by the original Earthworm Jim artist, Mike Kelch, who did this piece here. Oh,
awesome. The game art?
The game art. He did the cartridge art, the cover art, all the game art. Mike Kelch is doing that making of book. That book has interviews with all of the original team, the original 10 guys. The photographs are by David Perry, the programmer of Earthworm Jim. He did a bunch of nice black and white photographs. I'm putting in all of my note cards, a ton of script pages, penciled pages, raw ink scans, my story theory in it, everything addressing that first book and the video game's past history. We talk about all kinds of exclusives on kind of how the whole thing was put together. And so I'm proud of this book. I think it's going to be amazing. And 3 prints we have. 1 print is going to be of Mike Kelch's work. The other 2 are from the Creature Box guys. They're fantastic illustrators too. Hardbound, I'm willing to do gold leafing and embossing and all that if we keep raising more money. I think we're over 150,000. The other thing is these books will never be available in stores. I'm done with stores.
Oh, really?
Never in stores. Never a digital download.
So do you have your own store?
I'm only selling books through Indiegogo. I will not resell these myself, period. I'm only interested in Indiegogo.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
That's my business model.
Now, when you first launched it, and I told Debbie that you had it, and she's like, oh, and she's all excited, see it. She had a question, and she said, because we had our experiences, that you went 60 days as opposed to, say, 30 days. And she said, And I said, well, he's doing 60. And she's like, oh, I wouldn't do that. And I said, why? She said, because people can, that gives the people time to change their mind, and they can ask for refunds and stuff. Is that true? Like, so somebody will, like, we had a lot of people came out of the gate when we wanted for Zombie Song. We wanted 15,000, right? Yeah. And even with the Indiegogo and Ethan, I went on Ethan's show and we hit that in like 2 hours. Yeah. But then once we hit that 15 grand, a lot of people, initial supporters, said, oh, well, he already hit that. So, you know, I only, you know, I contributed to help him out. And now that he got it, and they started retracting their money. Yeah,
that's normal buyer's remorse. They get overexcited and they pull out. Guys come into my cover, you know, they'll do a cover and they'll buy a $8,000, $7,000 cover. Yeah. And you're like, yeah. Then the next day, my campaign goes down by $7,000. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah. And you just go, oh, I get it. You know, that the reason why I went 60 days instead of 30 is really the Earthworm Jim campaign. I'm trying to do kind of a no BS campaign, because what we did before on Bigfoot Bill was I knew I was maybe a month and a half, but I pretended like it was going to end at 30 days to panic people in. And then you leave it open. To, you know, a couple days more, and then you keep extending it, and you're trying to keep milking that big end out, right? That's a real strategy, real thing. With Earthworm Jim, I go, you know what? I'm going to leave this thing open for 60 days, and I want to be honest with my customers. I know I'm going to leave it open for 60 days. Yeah. And so I'm leaving it open for 60 days. In fact, I know the InDesign store, the In-Demand store after that is going to stay open probably till September. Mm-hmm. I'm telling everybody now, it's kind of I want my backers to trust me that when I say something, I mean it. So I didn't want to play kind of the crowdfunding games, including stretch goals. I'm being very careful with them, where I don't want to kind of fake things in. Like I did a bookmark on Bigfoot Bill, and I just go, I don't know if I want to do a bookmark on Earthworm Jim. I don't know if people want a bookmark. It has to be something special. So I'm looking for like the worst piece of art known to man to make it a bookmark. The other thing was like the page count. So normally I would, with Bigfoot Bill, I launched a 48-page floppy, and I always knew I was not going to do a 48-page floppy. And then you put a stretch goal in. Hey guys, if you give me this amount of money, I'll put 16 more pages in. Yeah. And hey guys, give me more money. Because you can't tell a story. I cannot tell a story in 48 pages. Yeah. I'm the same way. I'm swinging for the fences, going for epics. There's no epic in 48 pages. Yeah. So then I extended the book size to the 9x12. That's the largest the printer would print, is 9x12. And then we went hardbound. So I just went out the gate with Earthworm Jim, and I said, it's 160 pages. It is hardbound, and it's 9x12. It's going to weigh a ton, and I'm charging you guys like $40 for shipping for international. Like, if the shipping is accurate but outrageous. Yeah. And then the making of book, I came out with everyone and said, it is 64 pages for that Ashcan making of book. But I fully intend to get it up to as close to 160 as I can with funding, and that's totally honest. I'm going to start blowing pages out as soon as I can. Nice. So you're going real old school. I mean, there's not even going to be any ISBN number or barcode or any of that. Huh? None of my work has an ISBN or barcode or Library of Congress or any of that stuff. And that disqualifies me from certain libraries and Eisner's or something. You know, I'm honoring the backers, saying this is a standalone, it's a work of art, is how I see it. This is the art form. Yeah. So why am I going to give you a digital when this is the art form? Mm-hmm. I don't want you to read it digitally. I want you to curl up in your library with your kids and crack this thing open. Yeah. Here's the making of book. I love that. Other these black and white Ashcans, this is a 9x12, 64-page book. It actually has an exclusive 14-page backstory that's in this book. It's got UV protectant, the UV shiny coat on it. It's got gold leafing. I'm really proud. And this has the same amazing end sheet, that cardstock end sheet. I'm in love with the print medium. I'm in love with the feel of the book. When people got Bigfoot Bill for $25, they realized they paid for a Volkswagen and got a BMW. Yeah, well, I'm going to talk to you about your printer. Oh, I will. Really? Video, and it was amazing, and I'll take a trip to Tennessee. Really? I got a printer. My godmother lives down there, so I'd love to go see her, my uncle, and hang and have steak.
It's been
Billy,
a
I'll
month.
understand my printer, and you'll get an erection.
Yeah, well,
I went to I was going to print Bigfoot Bill in China because I usually used Regents, and I got a bid from them, and I sent it to this guy in Tennessee, and this is Jostens, the guy that does all the yearbooks, is the printer here in Clarksville, and he beat it. He beat China.
Oh wow.
So made in America, Bigfoot Bill made in America, Earthworm Jim printed in America. You want to put that on your cover, Billy. I get it when artists
Yes.
can't afford it. I totally get it. All my books, 3 Image, are done in China or
Yeah.
Canada. But these books, if you're giving me $150,000 or $200,000 to do a book, it's going to be made in America, top quality paper. And because the printer's here an hour and a half, I can drive up to the printer and I oversaw all of the printing, checked all the color, saturation, met the crew, got to shake hands with great people who are running those print jobs. This is the way to do it. This is my little, it's more intimate and close to me. And to me, that's what crowdfunding is. Crowdfunding comics, my book usually goes through a publisher, goes on a shelf. I never meet the people reading it.
Yeah.
I know my 3,300 of my Bigfoot Bill backers. I look at their name, look at their address, look at how much they give. I see them show up on my show. They send me a message on Indiegogo. I write right back. Oh, good job. Thank you. Thanks for backing me. Thank you. And I know their names now. I see them coming back in on Earthworm Jim. Way more intimate. This is Comic-Con, Billy. Remember the Warm Comic-Con? This is as close as people get to it now because they can watch my show. By the way, I also do the entire book live on my YouTube channel. The entire book. I write it. I sit there and I write out loud to the camera, and I'm sitting there criticizing myself as I do it. I print that thing out. I do my thumbnails on camera every page. I pencil every page on camera, unless I'm stealing too much from Sean Gordon Murphy and I don't want to get.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's fantastic.
And then I ink it on camera. And while I'm inking it, I'm going to invite my colorist, my flatter, and my letterer, Eric Weathers, on. We're doing the whole book completely transparent and live on the air. That's what my backers get. This is value, baby. I'm all about value. And while people are watching those pages, and when you're drawing on camera, you don't want to draw a crowd. You're showing off a little.
Yeah.
I want it to look extra frothy. I want it to look like this is a sample page. These are going for $9.50 each. Get the light on it here. You see that?
Yeah,
it looks good.
There's all this atmospheric perspective in there. For the first time, I'm doing ink black lines and an ink wash on the original page.
Oh, wow.
Ink wash on the page.
Beautiful.
So when they buy an original page, it's going to look great.
What art boards are you using that can handle that?
I use Canson crappy art boards that do not handle it.
Oh, they don't?
Yeah. For washes, what I have to do is I have to do a one-stroke wash. So the paper quality is fine if you go easy on it. If you have to re-scrub it, and I've done that too all the time, where I'll cut out a whole panel and just drop it in and repaper.
Oh, sure, yeah.
If you got to do that, you got to do that. But it's very rare. Overall, it works well with the wash. And I have to use this graphite ink for the paper to take it.
Yeah, what ink are you using?
This stuff from Japan. The
carbon ink.
Carbon ink from Japan.
I have a bottle of that.
Is it a nice black?
It is a nice black.
It's a very nice black, liquidy. I used to use Higgins Black Magic, and I was just tired of the crap.
I like Speedball. I went away from the Higgins too. I use Speedball, and the reason why is that my partner on Zombie Sama, John Broly, uses it, and it's at Michael's.
Yeah,
but it's great.
It does. He got me on that too.
Speedball. Sean Gordon Murphy uses Speedball. Sean Gordon.
Yeah. Like I said, if it works for him, it works for me. Now, I got a question for you about your cue cards you had. Is each your little the little card, not cue cards, your little index cards? Is every page, is that a page or no?
Scene or moment.
Okay.
So what you do on each one, and I do them with a Sharpie, so you tend not to overwrite. I'm not trying to write, I'm trying to put a structure down, a 3-act structure. So this is and what's cool about this, Billy, is I've done tutorials on this on my channel on the 3-act structure for note cards. I always start with one card, end of the whole thing, or what is the moral statement I'm making? So it could be like, the meek will inherit the world. That's Star Wars, when Luke destroys the Death Star. It might be, slavery is wrong. It doesn't matter what it is, but you put a moral statement on the end. And then I use that as the third note card, and I break out 3 note cards, beginning, middle, end. I know where the end is. I reverse engineer a beginning, which is always a counter statement to the end, right? It's like Bill Murray at the end is worthy of marrying in Groundhog Day. At the beginning, Bill Murray is an asshole who no one should marry. And then the middle card is the journey he had to go through to prove himself that changed him into that third card. Then I lay down those cards and I do a beginning, middle, end for the first act, second act, third act of 3 cards, 3 cards, 3 cards. And you just keep busting it out. And then it has a beautiful, clear structure. It's all hanging on this structure. And then I write a script from this. And when I write the script in Final Draft.
Oh, you use Final Draft for your script?
Hell yeah, for 20 years. You're just hauling ass because you've kind of figured out your names and your locations and whether if it's night or day is kind of on the note cards. Yeah. You don't have to think about that giant superstructure. It's done. Mm-hmm. Your spine is done. Now you have to make a beautiful, witty, amazing moment, scene right now. What you're writing. Is it funny? Are the characters alive? Is it terse? Are you getting in late, getting out early? Are your action scenes punchy? And they're always serving the structure no matter what you put it. Even if you go off the structure, by the way, in the script, you know where to get back in. You look at that next note card, I got to get there to get back on track. So you can still screw around and do some weird personal joke or action scene you always wanted to do, car chase, and you just get right back on the story on the next card. And that structure is what is, and that's why I made 18 graphic novels and I've sold 60% into Hollywood.
Wow.
One of the highest percentages in all of comics.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, so do you work, so then you do work from a full script?
Full script.
Yeah.
Now, it's not a movie script, so there's not going to be, there might be camera angle stuff, but there little of that. It's like a little description, and it's really, as you know, the only thing that's going to make it in the book is going to be the dialogue. Mm-hmm. So a little description of this happens, and it helps you think ahead. I go, oh, wow, he tears his shirt here, so I have to remember that he's got a torn shirt in the third act. And I'll put in parentheses, torn shirt, to remind myself every time he brings out this prop that's been bent. So it's very helpful for those notes. Once the script is done, I don't know if I think I have a, because this thing,
I'm leaning in so if I could see over his desk, believe it or not.
All right.
You're looking down at me. This is an example of my thumbnails. So you'll see what I do is, this is the script printed on one side, right? There's the script. Yeah. It's reversed in the camera. And then on the back of the script, on the corresponding page, where's the camera? There it is. On the and I do breakdowns. So, Billy, damn it, the reversing is killing me.
So do you have panel breakdowns, or do you have like
panel breakdowns? So that's one page broken up into 3. I'm gonna have to just look at this damn script. Wait, I got something better here. Hold on.
Is that a level, your script? Would you make that a level, or is that for you?
What do you mean?
Like, would you offer that or pages from that?
Oh yeah, I'm going to do original script pages. People who buy the original art, I'm going to send them. I'm just going to tear script pages out and send them to them. Actual script,
because that's a joy. I mean, wow, what a treasure.
So, or I might add that as a stretch goal to go, hey guys, put a script in these tiers once I figure out how many there are. So, these are the page breakdowns. I draw a horizontal line here. I'm sorry for the lack of focus.
It's fine. It's fine.
Camera. Here's so this is the is that upside down?
Yeah. There you go.
This represents a new page. I always draw a line all the way across for a new page. So, and then these I'll do notches where the panel goes. Panel. And then I know that's a page. And then I'll come over here and do a quickie thumbnail of a quick composition of, I usually do thirds. That's like the Jeff Smith model of a 6-panel page is the default, and I might collapse one into a double panel. The next one down here. And then here I'm also, look at me, I'm doing rewrites and edits too. So you're doing a rewrite, which helps the story a lot, right? And then on the back of the printed script, so I'm taking this script with me everywhere I go. When we go watch one of the kids' golf tournaments and it's boring, I have this script with me, and all I got to do is pull out a pencil. And I've already got the story, the page is all laid out. I know what the panels need to be, and now I just start doing these little thumbnails.
Wow.
These little thumbnails.
I love this process you have here.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, so me and Billy have been talking, and then we're looking at we're going to be adding different segments of crowdfunding comics series, and one of them is going to be like like a tutorial type episodes, and obviously we'll be having some script writing ones. I don't know if that's something you'd ever be interested in joining us on in the conversation.
All day. I'm a natural teacher. I spew about this stuff all the time. You bring me on the show. I will make a show that comics people will die to see. We'll do one show about note cards.
There you go.
We'll do one show about writing a script. We'll do one show about breakdowns, and one show about thumbnailing. I'll do a lecture.
Thank you, because I want to hear this.
Yeah, I do too. I'm like intrigued right now. Very intrigued.
Yeah.
We'll do it live together. You guys can ask questions as I go, and I'll do examples. I've broken these on my channel all the time, where I'll do a live news story, brand new, completely make it up on the spot, completely nail the moral, reverse engineer the note cards, and all this, and we'll go.
Oh, excellent. Awesome. I'll be in touch with you then.
It's comic school.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we're learning all the things to do right.
Yeah.
It's the thing is, I ended up, because this has been my full-time job for so long, I didn't feel confident just coming to my studio and feeling something and seeing if I would find something. It had to be way more brute force. I'm going to pound this story out. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to make it good. There will be something good. It may not be great, but it will be good. Because you don't want to start drawing a comic and not knowing if the story's worth drawing. You might get to the end and go, I didn't really find something there that was worth telling. You want to know that at the note card stage, and guess what? It doesn't hurt at all to take one of these cards out and throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
You can take a whole act out, because I can bust these note cards out in about a day and a half.
Wow.
So a day and a half work, you've nailed the entire structure of your story. It may take other people longer because I've done it so much. It might take you a week, let's say. But if something isn't working, you can throw this whole pile out and start over, and you're not sitting there tearing your hair out going, I can't believe I drew 18 pages.
Yeah.
Let me kiss. Give me a beer. Can of Guinness.
Guinness.
A can of Guinness. It's in the refrigerator in the laundry room.
So are the cards is that your first step when you're planning? So you have an idea. All right, I'm going to work on this book.
Well, for the cards, right,
Yeah.
would be a sketchbook of loose ideas.
Okay.
So it would be, because I don't know what genre I'm going to hit, and those always come down to, you always have 5 of those going. I have a cyborg time travel, and I have a monkey man, and I have a horror, blah, blah. And I have, Western romance, kung fu.
Yeah.
So I'll have these different genres.
I love you, son.
And then I step back, look at all those ideas, and I say, where is the most agreement between me and my audience?
Yeah.
I don't want to go for something that is so esoteric that it ought to stay in a sketchbook. You know what I mean? There's things that I do privately in my sketchbook that I'm really into it.
Yeah.
I'm a Thomistic substance dualist is my life view theory. People don't want to read a story about what Thomistic substance dualism is. St. Thomas Aquinas.
Oh, okay.
That's a Thomist, and a substance dualist. So Thomistic substance dualist is, you believe that a substance has dual properties. That is, one is physical and one is supernatural. So that is how I believe the human soul is adhered to every person. being Thomist means that you believe that it's not Stoicism where they're completely separate from each other. That's Cartesian. So that's from Descartes. Cartesian substance dualism is like a belief that like the body is low and terrible, and there's a soul in here that is enlightened and good. It's much more holistic than that. So, anyways, I'm not going to do a book about that.
Right, but you just love that's your yeah.
So maybe I'll do a book. Maybe I'll have a couple ideas that go, man, I've just been dying to do a thing about, a self-aware tree that a guy finds out alive and is a being, and it's in his backyard. And he just now sold his house to a construction yard, and he realizes they're going to raise the tree, and now he has to stop it. But it's totally illegal for him to break that contract. He has to save this tree, and this tree is becoming a friend and has something to do with him, or it's trying to save him from something, or something like, I just made that up. I'm just saying something like that. Mm-hmm. You may have that and you go, I think Hollywood would dig that. I think I'm ready to write that.
Yeah.
And then you break out the note cards and say, let me see if I can find a beginning, middle, and end that turns me. So it goes broad, your idea book. Mm-hmm. You pick the idea. And by the way, that may be a total wrong move for the next 2 years of your life. You choose the wrong project and you throw 2 years of your life into it. So it's not, don't be afraid, but the idea is you're going to take some steps down that road of story production to see if it's good. And if this gets you more and more excited, the more you bang these out, then it'll be your passion. Then the passion comes. Most people start with their passion.
Yeah.
I end with.
Oh, no, you got me sold. I'm going to go and I know the kids have some in little green plastic boxes that they haven't used since grade school. And
I'm in bulk, man.
I'm going. I'm pumped.
Billy, I put my note cards in my back pocket. I bring them to church. If I get an idea, I start throwing it down. They'll fit in your back pocket with a pencil. You can take them everywhere you go. Anytime you get a story idea, just put one sentence on a note card. It won't go away.
That's crazy. It's Matt V has a question out there, and it says, Doug, what project that you have not yet done but is on your bucket list? Is there something that's been itching? You have these sketchbooks full of stories, and we're not asking you for like what's your next project, or anything, but what is there something that you can share or you don't want to share it, maybe because it is that good and you don't want anyone else?
I've got a file back there of 35 ideas that are beyond my ability to tell.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
How's that? One of them was called Doom Kicker. So I partnered with Elliot Fernandez. I wrote the script for him. He's drawing it. He's launching that Indiegogo. Talk about a shout out. Indiegogo on Monday. Doom Kicker launches.
Doom Kicker.
Okay.
Nice.
He and I are 50-50 partners on that. I wrote it. He drew it. It is a supernatural, like a thriller about a overweight security guard who's pretty much washed up in BF nowhere. And he uncovers a conspiracy, and the sheriff isn't just bad, but evil. And all kinds of interdimensional weird stuff starts happening in this little redneck town. Doom Kicker.
Well, now we know our crowdfunding call out for Monday. That was just made easy.
Absolutely.
Monday, I have a second one. My other buddy, Brian Shearer, is doing Gunship Thunder Punch, which is a space epic about a giant kind of a battleship in space. And it's got a giant robot in it and all that. So
I love it. I have my own space epic too.
So do I, dude. So
Junior.
Have you seen Alejandro's book, Long Harbor?
No.
Alejandro Mirabal?
No.
Bro, Google that. You will cry. Long Harbor on Indiegogo. It's the best art I've ever seen in a comic.
Nile, have you seen that at all?
I have not.
You guys got to see this, and you got to pump this thing. I think it's got like 60,000 on it now. It's in demand.
Nile, and I don't know, Doug, if you wouldn't mind coming on, maybe we can have a fun show and we can just surf the net.
Yeah.
Find Indiegogos and Kickstarters and compare them and talk.
I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
And just pop around to different.
We go shopping, and I like the idea of hitting all these indies. I had 3 guys on my show last night. Dusty Tortillas, Super Harem, and I can't remember the third. I'm so sorry. It's a Vampire Hunter one. I'm just saying, I throw these guys on all the time because I hate to say it, but I feel sorry for them. I feel for these guys that are starting a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo, and they've only got like $1,500.
Yeah.
And I know what it's like to be in that struggle on your first book. Am I going to make it? Those are the guys I'm interested in having on my show, than guys that are making it big.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to look at my career and go, oh, you made it, you're big. It's like, it would be probably more helpful to see me struggle when I'm small. Like, what was it like when you were first doing gear? And if you saw a documentary of me doing that, you'd see me tearing my hair out. Those are the guys that I want to go dig out and help them with, just even share a link with my social media.
I think I would be inspired if I met me 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Just visited my studio in my 1-bedroom apartment in Queens, you know?
Yeah.
I would love to see me.
That's why I like the tutorials is, wouldn't you give anything to see Bill Watterson draw a page of Calvin and Hobbes?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's all I'd want to see. The lack of access back then, it cut us off from the knowledge of really how to do this stuff. Nowadays, all the knowledge, we're blowing it out there.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and you can imagine it like Bill Malden. I'm a huge Bill Malden fan. And I actually got one of my neighbors, a friend of mine, just gave me the first printing of Up Front of his book. And just imagine him in mud colored and, riding in his Jeep, you know what I mean, after a battle or something, getting inspired. And he was an infantryman too. So he was actually carrying a rifle and all that. And, I could just imagine that what a film that would be on him doing such a thing is composing this. And some of the pages, one of them I remember was like, this isn't the proper ink. I had to use, some kind of carbon ink or something that was used for transcripts or, you know what I mean? Or the Signal Corps guys. And that's all he had. And he always had brushes with him. But of course he couldn't get to his art kit to actually do it properly, and it's astonishing.
I'd give anything to see it, Weindecker painting.
Oh,
I'd give anything to see Walt Kelly do a pogo on, on screen. And now they get to. That's why I do my shows live. Is if people are really into my work, they're gonna get a fire hose turned on them of show after show. They can watch me do it live.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do the same thing. A little bit similar to that.
Yeah.
Is doing my commissions and sketches and things like that myself daily because I want to draw too. And be it if it's a little card or even if I'm sketching, here or in my little, loose leaf paper or something, just to sketch for an hour and get loosened up because I have been writing so much, and just doing some covers, and things like that. But I want to, I'm a cartoonist. I want to sit, I want to draw, I want to put pen to paper.
Yeah, it keeps your art, your YouTube work from being a job because you have to draw anyway. So just point the camera around and draw. And by the way, even when I do that on my YouTube show, like the viewers drop. The viewers drop when I'm doing just 4-hour live drawing, and I don't care. I don't give a F.
I'm gonna draw too. I'm gonna tune into your show and I'll draw with you and I'll be posting.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. That's what I'm doing. I'm inviting probably 4 or 5 artists on. We're just going to be in studio together. You point the camera down. We're all going to be drawing. No one person has to carry the show. You can all kind of talk. I'll have a couple of guys on maybe who won't draw and just read the chat. So you don't got to look up and worry the chat. Yeah. And people can ask questions and we're just there to work. And maybe a guy, maybe you can only come in for an hour or you're not comfortable drawing more than that. Come in and draw for an hour, guys. Come and go. I'll be on there for 4 hours with the camera down.
I'd love to.
That's
I
awesome.
see all the Long Harbor stuff, so we got to check that out.
So that guy, I had another project sitting in that vault, and I've been pushing Long Harbor up the yay all day. He and I are partnering on a project after Long Harbor. He's doing my artwork, and I'm writing the script.
Lucky you!
Nice. And it's going to be a
Good
space.
to be Doug TenNapel.
That's the first time I've really partnered with guys. I'm partnering with Elliot and Alejandro, and I pick really good guys that I want to spend a lot of time with.
Nice. Well, I got to ask you as a comics fan, and I don't know if you were a comics fan or an animated person, artist, but who's your favorite comic book character? And if you could do one comic book character out, like a mainstream one, if they came to you and say, we'll pay you whatever you want, we'll let you write and draw whatever story you want, or even just write if you can't.
Well, we talked about this about a year ago, right? You wanted to do it, Captain America. We know John Neal. I wanted, Captain America to be fun, and mine.
Yeah.
I think the one I picked would be Warlock from the New Mutants.
Wow.
The self-friend Sienkiewicz thing. I think I could tell a really good story about just him and kind of relaunch the character into something that would be big.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of New Mutants from the late 80s. The Warlock and Magus arc. I always loved some of that imagery. In 8th grade, I collected Micronauts. The Micronauts, I think, was one of my favorite. They had crossovers with Ant-Man, and it was a really well drawn, really well done book. And I was a fan of the toys.
Yeah.
Bone is big with me. Hellboy, I think, is the end all be all of comics.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
You really dig that, huh?
Yeah, I'm amazed. Mike Mignola, I think, really hit a sweet spot with me as far as art goes. I just think he's somewhere between Mike Mignola, Calvin and Hobbes, Bone, are probably my big influences on me. Just art. Well, I always liked Dave Stevens' Rocketeer too.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, you can see my thing. I got Rocketeer all over the place. Oh,
you can't see anybody's over there.
And I love late 80s, early 90s Dark Horse stuff. So I like the All Red stuff and Concrete and all the wacky, weird stuff they did. That spirit of indie comics is in me too. Image was always a little more over the top and gloss, Dark Horse reminded me of like zines and kind of punk rock. And that's always kind of my approach to art, was more like I want it to look like a cool sticker or skater art, or just the most, bitchin' black and white thing that you've seen. I think in black and white very much. So, but if I was going to do what I'd like to do, and I would talk to me about this, or even DC, I want a major character, but they wouldn't give me a major character. But I really want to do my take on a major character. And I think I could fix Superman. Whatever they're doing with Superman today, I think I'd have a great take on Batman. I think I'd have a great take on, I did a Spider-Man image once where it was all based on my atomistic substance dualism, but I didn't say that.
Right.
But all of his powers, instead of being, his genes are mutating and all this in tech and science and tech, it's young Peter Parker was an assistant to this corrupt archaeologist who found all of these animal idols in a temple. And it's called The Curse of Spider-Man. And each idol, that if you touch it, it will force that it's an animal idol. It's pagan. It'll force that animal onto you. So this evil scientist gathers up all these idols and takes them back, right? And he touches a vulture. Another guy touches the rhino. Another guy, so see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those, instead of giving a guy in a costume thing, they're like these demigods with this power, this evil curse that is destroying them from inside. And then one of the idols is captured by the assistant. Peter Parker bumps it, and it's a spider. And so all these other guys are bad, and Peter Parker is wrestling with this curse. And the costume forms over his head. He turns red. It has kind of these evil-looking eyes, kind of like Todd McFarlane with animated eyes. Mm-hmm. But his has like a black-lipped mouth with, and so like it's his body and his person. His fingers, when he goes like this, little spiders form on the back of them, and their abdomen points out, and webbing flies out across, but it's magic webbing. So it's not like all the technology of how does that webbing work. It's like, he's like, and he can like swing between buildings. Like it's like Curse of Spider-Man. It's one of my best pictures ever come with. I would love to do that.
Now, would you I
don't want to work on someone else's book, but I'd slaughter any one of these things.
You got to talk. Yeah, you should talk to John.
I know we're friends with John Nee at Marvel, and he actually said, "Yeah, give me a pitch," and I never did.
No, you got to give him the pitch, and the whole world's waiting for this.
Yes.
Is that modern times, or would you set it maybe in the definitely modern?
It easily could be like a Indiana Jones early
1930s,
because you don't need the tech. It's like it is like it's people and drama and struggle with good and evil. And I thought, man, Marvel will never touch this world view and this with these major characters. But I could do an entire, and I see it as fairy tale. I could do an entire Marvel universe using fairy tale based power instead of all this. Stan Lee was always like, it has to seem realistic. I'm like, no, people want Lord of the Rings. I'll do the entire universe like Lord of the Rings.
Well, they did do Marvel 1620.
Yeah.
They did that,
Yeah.
and I think Adam Kubert drew it. I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean that's all that not typically, but with the gods, Thor and things like that, and you should write it down, Doug, in your spare time. But I mean,
no spare time,
right?
No spare time. And like I said, that means if I work on that, I'm not going to work on one of those 35 ideas back.
Well, when you're done with it, do it. Are you going to San Diego this year or no?
I go every year. My wife and I, we do 2 weeks at the same condo for 30 years in Del Mar. And we kick back and just have a family vacation the week before Comic-Con. And then the week of Comic-Con, I go and do business. And so nice. I walk the floor maybe one day with my kids. It's only because I'm an Eisner winner that I get free tickets, so I don't have to stand in line.
You stop by every year. And
every year, buddy. Every year, brother.
But, this time, we're staying a couple of days. We're guests for the first time ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Jackie Estrada scored you.
Yeah, she did, yeah.
She gave me a guest pass, I think, 10 years ago. And I hit her up like 3 years later, and she goes, it's not time yet.
But I'm honored. I'm really honored by it. And but I know we're staying Monday. We might be going on Wednesday. I don't know, but we'll talk about this off the air. Sorry, but let's get together, all of us, and have dinner and stuff, if we can, or lunch or something.
Go to that cigar lounge. Go to that cigar lounge downtown. Brian Shearer, the guy that's doing that Gunship Thunder Punch on Monday, he and I, we bail on Comic-Con all the time. We sit there and we have beers and cigars. And after a while, all our friends start showing up. I think there's going to be independent comics guys, a lot of Comic Skater guys. A lot of our buddies are going to be hanging out there.
I'll be there
for a long time.
Well, it's during the show though, or is it after hours?
But I mean both. But usually during the show, if you get exhausted, you need a break, and you want to sit down in a nice leather chair and have a beer and a cigar with a normal guy, go to that lounge, and there'll be 4 of us there. Someone's coming in and out, and we get on a text feed too, going like, "I'm going to the lounge," and then you go, "Oh yeah, me too."
And where is that lounge for our viewers out there?
It's I think it's called. I can't remember. I think it's called like the Cuban Cigar Lounge or something like that.
Oh yeah, I remember. I went there and I actually asked them if you could. Yeah. Well, now this is going back a decade.
Yeah.
Maybe. And I said, "Oh, so can you show me the real cigars?" And they actually locked the door, and she had a whole bunch of Cubans. And I had my Robustos here, my Habanas, and my Monte Cristos and all. And and she's like, "Okay, here." And there's a woman, and she opened and showed them me, and I grabbed a couple. So
give me the good stuff. I do Rocky Patel and too cheap to do Cuban. I'm a Rocky Patel guy.
Well, by George, man, you've got a plan. And so, okay, I know, Doug, you've got work to do. We keep you on for so long. We appreciate this. But Nile, if maybe we can ask him about some crowdfunding thing. I think we've learned what his successes are, what he's done right. But you want to take it and ask it,
Oh, yeah, I mean, for the guys out there that are, like you said, you really kind of want to, not necessarily feel bad, but almost want to lend that helping hand to new up-and-comers out there trying to do this crowdfunding thing. I mean, you've had, some successes, quite a few successes. I mean, but what have you learned from those? What are things that, you'll tell someone, hey, this is good to do, but definitely don't do this?
The biggest mistake I see is crowdfunders who do not have a steady job and they're trying to make it their income. That's the biggest mistake I see. I see guys that don't have a pot to piss in and they're trying to launch a comic on Indiegogo and they're going to raise $3,000 or something. Yeah. That is a really bad move to do to your comic career. At the very least, go get a job at Starbucks and then go raise that money, because when you're doing small raises, you can't afford to live on it. It all has to go into the book.
Yeah.
print quality, or if you can get help with a inker or whatever you need. And so Bigfoot Bill, I raised $200,000, $200,000. And I have one of the lowest percentages that I'm pulling out to live on myself. It'll probably end up being about 30 grand of that. The rest of it went in the book, shipping. I paid my colorist, the quality of the book. But this is how you establish a business. This is how you get loyal backers who will come in and back anything you make. So instead of me trying to take all the money out of this, I put all the money in it.
Yeah.
Think of it as a small business. Instead of, I hope I get lucky to sucker these people out of this money because I can't pay rent. That's a big mistake that I see. I think it really hurts your comic career. I think you have a real much higher chance of failure of being able to deliver right, be able to afford to navigate some of your shipping and costs and things like that. And if you do that, you will kill the indie comics movement on Indiegogo and Kickstarter. It only takes a few bad campaigns to start putting the stink out there. And by the way, video games have that stink now on crowdfunding. It's like, careful, that's a video game. Careful, we've done that a bunch. Careful. And I'd hate to see that happen to comics. So that's the biggest, the most common thing that I see. And the other thing is, definitely, if you need to we all know this, you have to get some social media going.
Yeah.
So you have to do either Twitter or YouTube or Facebook or something. And I would really connect with people who have disposable income. So you want to connect with the kinds of people who walk in the circles and we've never had more disposable income in America than today, right? You work less and you make more. And we pay more for entertainment than ever before. So your main goal is to do something so entertaining, probably on YouTube, because that's the #1 television station in the world, and it's free if you're not broadcasting on this $billion television network, and you're trying to do mass media. You're crazy.
Yeah, well, I have friends telling me this, and my friends making fun of me. So anybody out there, follow us on subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Twitter if you can. I got my buddies, and they're all well-known comic fans. I only have 2,800 followers on Twitter. So I think now I'm at 32. I'm over 3,200, I think, and they're pissing me off. So. And they're like, well, I've got 12,000 followers. I got 15,000 followers, And then I'm thinking, and then Ethan said the whole thing with the controversy and some of it was taken out of context. Like, you need 25,000 followers. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't have 25,000 followers. Can I do this?
Yeah. Well, it's like nurturing a garden, man. You got to constantly work at it, constantly post things. I mean, sometimes you'll post like a funny little thing. And again, people just take stuff so literally. You're like, oh shit, I just lost 8 followers. What the hell? Like, what did I say? What did I do?
Yeah. Alejandro Mirabal, who did Long Harbor, he had very little internet presence, very little, no YouTube show, and his book brought in $60,000. Mitch Breitweiser, who did Red Rooster, only a few thousand on Twitter, and maybe a few thousand on YouTube. He raised 180,000 or 170,000 on Red Rooster. So it's a force multiplier. Like, if I could get everyone on the Earthworm Jim campaign right now who backed it to put the link out there, it would be at $1 million. It would be at $1 million. I have 1,100 backers. If people just see that thing, enough people would come in to multiply it tenfold. So it's really being strategic with the little bit that you do have. And even on this show, guys, if you want to watch how to pound out the subscriber count, and you'll see it before your very effing eyes, everyone, take the link. You're going to turn this show into a force multiplier, because each of you maybe only have 50 followers. But I saw on this show that usually you get about 800 viewers. 800 viewers times 50, you're starting to go somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you have 1,000 of them, I mean, they're going to explode. Put the link on your any social media, Facebook, and put a little bit of a phrase on there saying, "This is the best show I've ever seen. These guys are passionate about comics!" Exclamation point. Something like that. Great information here. You're crazy if you don't see it. We need a little bit of salesmanship from our marketing team that is the audience. You'll explode this channel. Explode this channel. That is the key. You can't just put on a good show. Your first job is to put on a good show, because you have to maintain your audience of 200 or whatever. You have to give them something to do. And you don't want to turn your back on them trying to catch someone else.
Yeah.
But if you put down the cheddar for them, and then their thank you for you putting on a show for free that they don't pay for, and you're spending hours of your time away from your family, their thank you is they put the link out. That costs them nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, if you hear that, please, because we've always, I mean, I've gotten emails from friends, and saying, why do you talk politics? Look, did you see what happened here? And I kind of don't stay tuned to things. I have a lot of questions. I was asking you some questions like, what the hell is this? I don't even know what this is.
Yeah.
And I try to stay away from it because, I don't know. Like I said, if someone's got a problem with me, say to my face, or I'll say to your face, I don't want to get involved in that, especially if I don't know what's going on. And someone's like, oh, he's trapping you. I mean, just stupid shit that goes on like that.
Yeah.
And forgive me for cursing, but I don't know. It's our show. Forgive me, Nile, for doing so. But I want to get away. I love this conversation. I love comics. I love comics. I got into it because I'm a comics fan. That's why I wanted to do this. And not instead of study law or some shit like that, after high school and going to college that.
I was talking to Richard C. Meyer today on the phone, just talking about comics and stuff. And he thinks there's going to be a tectonic shift. He's predicting over this next year within culture, where people are going to get really sick of the politics and stuff and all the screaming, and they're going to start being attracted to warm guys having fun together and jolliness. Mm-hmm. That was kind of the gist of the conversation, and I thought about that, and I go, you know what? That's all I hear from people on Twitter is they're sick of it.
Yeah.
So let's get on the front end of that
everything.
Curve. Let's get on the front curve of that and start providing this really deep-based, great show. Jolly guys, we love comics. It's all enthusiastic. We're not going to come in and stick a bunch of politics in something that doesn't belong there and get all political.
Yeah.
Because it's about, remember 20 years ago, remember Stan Lee? I never heard Stan Lee talk about a candidate freaking ever.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't remember Todd McFarlane ever telling me what he thought of when he's being interviewed for a comic. I didn't hear him say, hey, recycle everybody, or this is what I think of abortion. It was about the comic, and it actually, this is going to be a relief space where people can come in and go, I'm just going to, no matter what I believe, I'm going to come in here, and as long as I love comics, these guys are going to feed it to me all day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and and life's too short for it. I mean, I've saw, I get a little bitter at times and things, as everyone does, and you fall into that mode, and
hey, you're allowed to rant. That's your personality. I mean, if you blow up every once in a while, if it's 24/7, geez, what are we?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you Matt out, Tucker Carlson now? That's
exactly. And yep. And I feel like what my own personal family's gone through with my wife almost dying after giving birth to my son, my youngest son, my 13-year-old, in the hospital, and being in the hospital for a month and going into septic shock and going.
Oh my gosh.
And it was horrible. I mean, it was horrible. And
clarifying though, isn't it? Clarifying.
Oh, absolutely. And then, and then she ends up getting breast cancer. And then she ends up having to have open heart surgery because she has an aneurysm. You know what I mean? Like things like that. And then you go back with, with our kids and the things that you have to do with them and their trials and tribulations and their struggles with things. And, life's too short to get into arguments with people that have been best friends of mine for 25 years. People that I know their deepest secrets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they know mine, or I know their fears. And then I see them espousing this crap like children. You know what I mean? And these pros, long-time pros. And,
the only thing I love more than comics is people.
Yeah.
And in the end, it's if you're just sitting there protecting a book and tearing apart peers who are just struggling and making it through.
Yeah.
You got your priorities wrong.
Yeah, wishing them, and I mean, we had, and Ethan and I were talking about that and laughing about it,
Yeah.
but then again, like Edward Boyette, all of a sudden you have the police at his front door.
That's right. You get swatted suddenly, and then it's no fun.
Yeah, and you want to shoot your dog or something, and the guys come to my house, and they're there for an hour interviewing me because some guy in Chicago wants to kill me and then kill my wife, and comic books. So you can, and then what the hell and when do I ever talk about any of this stuff? I try to keep my everyone knows where I stand on things. Who I voted for. They know where I'll tell you.
Yeah, me too. I'm bury the needle on the right, and I'll say that with a straight face. But we didn't have to do a whole show about it.
And I'll never judge you for your idiocy.
That's right. That's right. Hey, I blow up, and I'm a ranter
judge me on mine. Sort of thing. But I don't know. It's just that's why I love just our from the get go with you that we became friends so long ago and
kindred spirits, brother Billy, kindred spirits.
Yep, Nile, we have 2 unlikes or dislikes.
I usually get 2 or 3.
Do we get 2 or 3?
Yeah, we get like 2 or 3. It depends on who we have. I mean, again, a lot of the up and comers we don't get it, but when we get a lot more established people and these better conversations, we'll get a couple dislikes.
Yeah, what happens is when 2 people dislike, that's a siren call for everyone else to hit the like and bury the living daylights out of it. You pound that, you gotta market that. So you know what, guys, we got 2 dislikes.
Yeah.
If you like this show and you haven't hit the thumbs up yet, it'd be great to have your voice weighing in.
Well, what's funny is whenever we do get dislikes, it's usually one where, like, in our chat, I'll see a couple toxic comments that people try to get some type of rant going. But that's the one thing that's great about our show is that doesn't work here. We're here for the works. We're here for the comics. That stuff doesn't work. And our viewers that do watch us loyally don't feed into it.
You look at my channel, and almost every single video has 2 thumbs down. Every single video. And then there's hundreds and hundreds of thumbs up. Because it's the same piece of crud who goes through your entire video library and thumbs downs everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's their little jolly. That's their world. That guy's, he doesn't even need to call him out because his punishment is living in his own skin. That's his punishment.
Yeah, and those are the same guys that would never tell you that they dislike something. Well, I don't know I bet you it's my fault why they dislike this because of my horrible Long Island accent and my big mouth, and I don't let Nile talk ever. So,
or Nile.
Sure.
No, you're a great pair. You don't want 2 of you on there, Billy. What would happen?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I know. I would. So, okay. So Nile, get back.
Billy.
What? May I ask the next question? Even though I've been talking to our illustrious guest here, is that Doug? What was the best advice you've ever gotten from someone else about comics, or more importantly, about how to crowdfund your own books directly to the fans?
I got a lot of advice. This is my 5th campaign, but Jason Brubaker pulled me aside. He does that Remind and Sithra are on Kickstarter. He's my big guru. He's been doing it since 2009. Crowdfunding he's doing hardbound books now. He just kind of walked me through how to figure out the pricing on your tiers. Ethan was the guy that told me about crowdfunding, about how to do the social media. He goes, you have to do a YouTube show every day. Mm-hmm. I've done a lot of work with Kazu Kibuishi, who does Amulet series. He just kind of has a style that is about appealing things that right at the first time you see them, a stranger likes them and they feel comfortable with it. And to me, that's another thing that has to happen on Indiegogo or on Kickstarter is that first opening image. I see so many campaigns making this mistake. They have a giant bloodbath on that first image. No one wants to buy a bloodbath. They do want to buy a comic that has a bloodbath in it if it's down lower, but they don't want to retweet a campaign that has a giant image of a woman like eviscerated or covered in blood or being devoured by a zombie, even if that's what your story is about, even if it's horror, you want to make something that is comfortable for other people to retweet. You want, and so that's another big thing, was make that image something that if someone so much as talks about it, they look smarter. So that Alejandro Mirabal on Long Harbor, I like supporting it because it makes me look good. I'm the guy that pushes. He makes me look good. Like I'm a art snob and I'm good at art, and I really know what's cool. That's what you want on your image, on that front image. Is you want something that makes all of the people that see it want to tell other people because they want to be the first to announce it, and they look cool.
Yeah,
that's kind of my big overview of social media. And people really, they almost make a snap judgment when they see that first image. They're either in or out.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
One image.
If I could just interject one thing, I would just, I always like to monitor when we have a guest on, and you have, and I hope it's from our show, you have increased $1,000 on your Earthworm Jim. You're at $159,469, and when I had this up on the page before we started, you were at $158,100 something. So about $1,100.
So we only need another 500 something. We can knock over. We can go over 160 tonight.
Correct. Yeah. So you only need a.
We'll get there tonight.
You might have to go on Ethan's show.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Ethan's show. Last day of my Bigfoot Bill campaign, I got on Ethan's show. He raised $40-something thousand in an 8-hour show. We did them all night.
Yeah,
a marathon.
He's a prince. I mean, he really is.
He's a killer.
Yeah, he is, and it was unbelievable. And
when I met him, he didn't have to give me boo, right? What exactly does he owe everybody? What does he owe everybody?
Yeah.
And think of the hundreds of thousands of dollars he's raised and gave it away. He didn't charge me for it. He gave it away.
Yeah.
He doesn't owe me boo. He and I had some we've been going back and forth about some big stuff today, and he's a good soul, a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
Good guy. And I dedicated, if you open up the first page of Bigfoot Bill, first sentence says, dedicated to Ethan Van Sciver. I mean every word of it.
Nice.
This book would not have happened if I didn't call him and have him, he looked at it and he said, yeah, do that.
How freaking awesome is that?
It's awesome. It's powerful. He has a very powerful reach.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I don't want all these indie people to think Ethan is my solution. Ethan's my solution.
Yeah.
Ethan is one solution.
Yeah.
He's one solution. And there's a lot of other solutions that I think people are going to start cracking the formula. I think the audience is going to start coming around to these indie projects, especially as the quality goes up by people like you coming in. And, we're buddies with Ethan Nicole. He drew, my best friend is Ethan Nicole, Billy. So when I saw him drawing your zombie redneck
apocalypse.
Yeah. So he drew that. I was the best man in his wedding.
Oh, I didn't know any of that.
Dude, he and we ran a Chesterton reading group at my house for back in 2009 with Michael J. Nelson would come, all these big time, great friends, great guys. He's one of the best guys I know. We do Audio Mullet. Is our cast we do together. Look up Audio Mullet. It's a killer show. He and Michael J. Nelson from Riff Tracks and Mystery Science Theater, we do Audio Mullet together.
Well, so I guess you're responsible for him coming on to my book then.
Yeah.
You must have talked to John because he said, I have this artist. And I'm like, okay. And I was like blown away. And the fifth issue came out yesterday of Appalachian Apocalypse. We've hit every deadline. He's just a beast. And if
He's a hammer. He's a freaking hammer.
If I may plug myself,
get that up here.
I have to, because he's unbelievable. And it's so funny because Cave Pictures, our publisher, sent me a bunch of books for the Diamond thing. There's a Diamond thing this week for me to sign them and send them back, and they could use them. And there's 10 copies of each. I'm like, I'm taking one each.
Yeah. Have you met Mark Rogers at Cave?
Oh yeah. Well, Mark Rogers is the one that you came to me and we had that dinner.
Yeah, he's one of my good friends too for a long time. One of the best guys in Washington, D.C., pushing stuff around. I lectured on intellectual property in D.C. He set this thing up, and I stayed at his house, bro, in his studio.
Hmm.
Wall, framed Kirby's.
Really?
Wow.
Mark, his whole wall is framed original Kirby's. That guy's a comic book nut. So it was great to see you and Ethan and Mark, all these guys that we know. There's just synergy, baby. It's synergy.
It really is. And now we're talking about Zombie Tama 2. I'm sorry, a Zombie Tama. Appalachian Apocalypse #2.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had Ben Gilbert doing the colors, and it's just, it's amazing. And it's really like a biblical zombie thing, and it's all about how faith can help heal the world. It's really cool, but there's a lot of action, and it's, plays on all the stereotypes of, if I may pitch my book, guys, if I may.
Yeah. Yeah, get it up on camera. Get it closer. They can't see it. Put that in the camera. There it is. Yeah, and Ethan writes for the Babylon Bee. He's a staff writer. He's one of the. Oh yeah, that's the secret thing. He's one of the funniest guys. He's got a wit to him, and when he draws those little characters, they're killer. I'm a big.
Yeah. He drew this 2 guys are turkey hunting, and there's a zombie.
Yeah.
It's like, it's Dirty Rick. And
he created Axe Cop. In case you guys don't know, he created Axe Cop. It became a Fox animated series. Nick Offerman did a voice. Patton Oswalt did a voice. These are great big time names on Ethan's TV series. It's just weird how interconnected all of these guys in my lives are, and it's why I'm a big fan of this medium, man. I'm singularly committed to it.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I love is I love the 90s when I got in, and the 90s were a lot like, I feel like the 60s, like that, you know what I mean?
The zines.
Yeah, and just this, the Marvel universe was exploding, and just how the people knew who Stan was and the personalities, and he would write lines, and now this was later on, of course, but he still kept that mentality in the early 70s and all, and like, to George Perez did a panel, and Stan would have the note, gorgeous George, you've done it again, something like that. And you just, Stan would be perfect for this, and it's almost like we're our own mini Stan Lees now, that we can interact with people all over the world through this internet, and to try to use it for some good.
He's not here, so we got to be bright in his absence.
Make him proud. And carry on his legacy and make him proud, and it just, it's just wonderful. Like I said, having you on here, and I mean, right, Nile? I mean, what a show.
Oh no! I mean, the comments. I'm just sorry. I read through a lot of the comments while you guys are chatting, and
I keep missing them all. I don't.
I mean, it's not more questions. It's more just all compliments that everyone thinks this is, out of our 19 episodes and our other little specials we've done. They think this is by far the best episode.
It is, until the next one, because it's going to get better. You're going to keep doing it bigger, better, stronger, faster.
Nice. Well done, Steve Austin. Well done. Yeah, I mean, it's Billy's taking over Doug's window. Am I?
No, your screen scaled. I auto scaled you.
Doug, how crazy would that be if I just went like this?
Yeah, and he comes up next to you. Yeah, Billy, you gotta do this. Like, get your on the wrong side of the camera again. Like move your hand. Yeah, there you go. Billy, pull, Billy, pull. Oh.
We got to have fun with that.
Billy, you got to do that. We're like, I'll get, I'll grab like a pen like this, and I'll go like, Billy, you're ready, and then I'll throw it off camera, and then you have one of your sons or something throw it, and pretend like you catch it.
Gosh, that's so great.
Dude, we're gonna kill.
And then you can drop it down here.
We all have.
Yeah. The hand reaches over.
I go like this,
and then I pull some popcorn.
Yeah, and you can catch him and you can eat him like you have your son throw.
We're reformatting the show, everybody. We're going to do puppets. We're going to be wearing top hats and big, trench coats, and it's going to be awesome.
Well, we are going to have a smoking jacket edition.
Yes, we are.
Now, I can smoke in my studio. I don't know if you're in the basement right now. You have little babies, so I wouldn't advise against you.
I technically can. The beloved Miss TenNapel said I could. I just put a sock over the smoke detector, close the door, and stent. But I would do it definitely.
I want to have a stem.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, a stem.
Get the stem out. There you go.
Or your cigar. And Stein. or a mug or something like that, or a pint, pipes and pints, or stems and
Smoking
steins,
jackets.
smoking
Some
jackets,
hookahs.
and pontificate about being future masters of the universe, and we just talk about comics and bitch about a movie or something like
Yeah.
that.
I'll make a
Even
nice
for
scene, and we'll have a round table, and I'll put everyone's videos in there, like
Niall,
we're plotting.
Niles can vape. Niall can vape. You can vape.
There you
You
go.
can
I'll
vape
vape.
because you're a hipster, you're a kid,
You're a
I'll
hipster, you're a
vape.
kid. You can vape, but I'm telling you, you do the comic book cigar lounge with a bunch of laughing jolly guys, and you have cigars, and it's kind of badass to have the
Yeah.
smoke around.
hmm
You will. This will be the magnet of all of YouTube for comics because people want to hang out in that cigar lounge, talk about what you're drinking, what you're smoking, and talk comics. It's a magnet, baby.
Yeah, man, we had some scotch and
Oh, yeah.
cigars, and that's it, and our smoking jackets, and
Jerky.
and we just sit there, and it's we could just talk about like the events of it, like maybe when Spider-Man comes out, Far From Home or something, or some kind of event, or a year-end thing or something. And I just think, by George, I think we could do that. I think it could be a hoop.
They do drink and draw maybe once a month. We do smoke and draw.
I love it.
Oh,
Smoke,
there you go. Smoke.
Once a
draw.
month.
smoke and draw.
Dude.
Well, I don't know. Niall, you want to start asking about our fun questions now?
Yeah, well, let's get into. So, I've always asked a question during the show, and it's always been about certain things. But I mean, you obviously, I feel you may have a love towards Bigfoot. I mean, do you believe Bigfoot exists?
I don't, but it's probably the most believable of all the cryptozoological creatures out there.
Really?
Yeah. There's it's come the closest to having like hard evidence of footprints and hair samples. They've all been debunked. I'm just saying they never tried presenting that stuff they can't find pieces of UFOs, they can't find photographic proof of ghosts and stuff like that. So Bigfoot, there's guys that have alleged they have, and I've heard the recordings of his voice, multiple sightings of normal people. And the biggest thing that we've all seen is the Patty footage. The Patty footage from 1960 shot in Northern California of the blurry Bigfoot costume. It's not a costume. I don't know what it is, but it looks pretty dang real. And so that's why on this book, it's dedicated to Patty. It says right here in the dedication for Patty, if you exist.
I love
That's
it.
what it says.
Nice.
So
That's the guy. That's the one walking and he turns.
yeah.
Yep. Well, actually,
I'm just
they
saying-
think it's a female Bigfoot.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, I know about, well, I've been to Stan Winston Studios. I know how the makeup is done. I know how costumes are done. There's no way in the mid '60s two amateurs put that together, shoot it on film, and it's been microprocessed and looked every which way. And I don't know how you come up with that.
All right, hold on. I know we've been on for 2.5 hours. Niall, can you find that? Can we play that?
I don't know, because every time I play a video, I get copyright
Oh,
things on YouTube.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, we got kicked. Yeah, somebody had a song that we did a crowdfunding call out.
Yeah, well,
The song is the hardest thing because the chord progression, YouTube can recognize it and they'll shut you down. Actual videos, if you talk over it and provide enough commentary.
Well, it'll just tell me it'll just give me an option to delete it or say I have rights to it. It won't flag us.
Yeah, don't do it. I wouldn't risk it.
Yeah, don't do it. You guys know what it is.
You don't want to do that.
But anywho, so there's, on the top of Bigfoot though, there is a guy in Canada who, and I'm trying to the documentary used to be on Netflix, but he's like trying to sue the country of Canada and their forestry because he has all this evidence and proof and video footage of Bigfoot. And he shows it in his documentary, and obviously with today, what you can do on a low budget is, it's hard, but you see this
the
footage.
new stuff, it all looks like a sham. That 1960s thing in the broad daylight.
Oh yeah.
That is very interesting to me, very compelling.
Yeah. And when they digitized that, they actually were looking at the muscle, the architecture of the leg, and how the muscles were, and when the thigh would go, how it would bulge out, and because the muscle was flexing.
Yeah, it's not a fur.
And it
doesn't
actually
look
looked like an injury, they said. I don't know if
Yeah,
you've
and
ever
also
seen
the
those.
width of the shoulders,
Mhm.
to get them out that wide, and the length of the arms, and the width
Yep.
of the hips, and the barrel of the chest. That is just that would be a very difficult costume to pull. I don't even know how you pull it off.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, this is before Stan Winston and before anything else. I'm
Mhm.
going, I don't, you know.
Now, as far as your thoughts on ghosts, I do have to disagree.
Oh, that I don't believe in ghosts?
Yes, I've had too many experiences that were just freaky, and I've been touched and all that stuff. They
Well,
exist.
I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe in demons.
Oh my! Can you give a demon story? Because I have a demon story. Do you have a demon story
I
that you can tell or you don't want to tell? You know?
Yeah, I can't tell it, but it's horrifying. But I'm only saying I do believe in demons, and I think they can present themselves as ghosts or aliens or anything else. Like they could, and once you have that ability, I mean, almost anything could be presented. I don't know why a demon would do it, because I think demons do a lot better staying hidden so that there's no evidence for them. I don't think they're that sloppy. I think they're very smart.
Yes, they are very smart.
I had a story. I don't know if I could. I don't want to invite that into the conversation.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
I've seen some pretty horrifying things of weird demonic people who thought they were possessed or were possessed, and it was pretty.
That's creepy.
Pretty, yeah. And I have myself. I have a lot of kind of a daydream waking terror when I'm walking around. I'll just suddenly experience horror when I'm alone. I hate being alone in a house. Almost any time I can avoid it, I do. I don't ever like being alone, ever.
So when that happens, we'll have to do random YouTube shows.
Yeah, that's the thing is when I'm alone, I feel much more comfortable being on camera.
Huh.
Terrifying show.
Well, on another topic then, completely different.
The mob seat wants to know: do exes count as demons?
Oh, they can very well, yeah. But so me and Billy were talking. What was it, yesterday or something? And we just got into that we have our own custom sandwiches at our delis.
What?
Yeah.
What is that?
No, we got you go in there.
Because you go to the same deli all the time.
No, we don't. We go to
well individually. Individually, we do. We don't go to both don't go to the same one. But I go in and it's a joke for the Nile special. I mean, do you have anything like that, or is there something that your go-to place? Yeah.
Every time I'm in LA, the first thing I get is Del Taco.
Yeah.
Del Taco is my thing in LA because they don't have it here in Tennessee. And Tennessee is a complete cesspool when it comes to Mexican food. So for sure that Del Taco is my thing. And I know I order like almost one thing on everything on the entire menu and just eat myself to death. Tommy Burger is the other thing. So big grody chili on a cheeseburger, also Southern California. I do that anytime I can. Those are my big things. If I go to a deli, I'm a big fan of, and I'm not a big chicken and turkey woo-woo guy, but turkey, bacon, avocado is probably my sandwich. Turkey, bacon, avocado.
Ooh, that sounds good. Avocado's great on everything.
Oh, God, I hate avocado.
You hate avocado?
Yeah, I don't like cheese either. And I don't cheese or avocado.
I know, that's weird. I don't even know.
Are you gonna talk bad about me on the Instagram and on the Twitter?
Let's get some hatred for Billy. Who doesn't like avocado?
He doesn't like avocado. He doesn't like cheese. I don't even know how we're friends. You don't like cheese?
I love cheese.
I love cheese.
I
could live on cheese.
I love blue cheese. That toe jam taste. Blue cheese.
Disgusting. You know you're horrible. This is worse than talking about goat.
Sharp white cheddar, sharp cheddar.
Well, you like the cheddar, don't you?
I love the cheddar.
Don't we?
The cheddar. All right, guys. What do you got? What do you got here, Billy?
Doug, what? Okay, after we do Earthworm Jim, right? Earthworm Jim is done. You've finished it. That nobody can get it anymore. What's next after Doug?
Well, Earthworm Jim and Bigfoot Bill are planned to be 3 to 5 book series, and I plan to do one a year. That means 2 Indiegogo campaigns a year. So as soon as Earthworm Jim launches in the fall, I gotta be on Bigfoot Bill 2 in January, and then I'll do Earthworm Jim 2 the next fall.
Fantastic.
5 years. Now I don't know if I can stand that because I'm 52 years old. I don't got many years left in me. I got 35 ideas back there. If I'm spending 5 years on just 2 ideas, that's weak cheddar right there. That's weak. So we got to strengthen it up somehow. And I don't really believe in working with other artists on my work. I don't want someone else penciling my stuff and me inking it. So I might have to find a faster style or something. But this year, I calculated I'll be doing about 320 pages of art this year.
Wow.
1 year, 320 pages.
Oh, please don't let my wife ever see this video.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm in it. I'm in it hardcore.
God
The only
love
way that I would adjust that experiment, because I really love Bigfoot Bill. I've already written the second story. The script is done. It's ready to go. I just have to wait till next year after Earthworm Jim is done. I'm on this slaughterous schedule. If I do the second Bigfoot Bill, because that's going to be the big test, right? Everyone's coming in going crazy for Earthworm Jim. They get 200 grand on Bigfoot Bill. Earthworm Jim should beat that. I'm hoping by the end of the week. Within the first week, I want to hit 200.
Wow.
And break that thing. I'm only here to beat the crap out of my own character. I want to make a bigger, better book. If I do that second Bill campaign and the Earthworm Jim backers don't come in, like if it goes way up, back down, then I might have to do a plan B for the Bigfoot Bill series, and I might just finish up, say, the Earthworm Jim series and see what happens. I'm super committed to Bigfoot Bill, though. I really want to do the stagger of a book a year for each of the sagas and do a 5-book saga, 2 projects in 5 years, and just live. That's just my only income is Indiegogo. I don't want to do anything else.
That's great. I love it. I hope to be just like you. I hope to be doing the same thing as you. And I'm 52 years old, too. So by George, we're going to have to help each other and do this.
Brother, I'm in it with you, man. I will help you any way I can. Let me know how I can help, and we're going to do it.
Well, thank you. Well, if you don't mind sharing our Zombie Sama, our campaign ended, but raised like close to $3,000 after it ended. I don't know, maybe 3 weeks ago it ended or so. Yeah. And so if you don't mind sharing it and tell people to follow me and subscribe to this show,
absolutely,
that would be wonderful.
I already put the link to this show out on my Twitter. 15,000 followers. I told them, I go, watch, I'm a guest of Nile and Billy Tucci on Crowdfunding Comics. I said, come watch. It's going to be great. That's all you got to do. We're only 425 away from 160. 425.
Wow, $425 away from $160,000.
We're going to hit it.
We have to have our Kings of Crowdfunding show.
Oh, we
have to have Doug. We have to have Ethan. We have to have Brian Polito. We have to have Mitch. You know what I mean? Jimmy Palmiotti. We have to have you guys on this, and that would be a fun show. And we call it.
So, the Lady Death guy. What was his name?
Polito. Brian Polito.
Polito. He was a guy that I've been watching for about a year also, really studying his campaign. And that's kind of where I got the idea to do the 5-book series and always sell back into your back catalog on every new campaign. You release the library. Because I see his backers, and that really I need to talk to that guy and get some advice. He knows
awesome.
something.
He's
such a great dude.
He knows something I don't know.
What?
He knows something I don't know.
Yeah.
And that is how he gets all of either his mailing list or his fans or his backers to come in the first 48 hours.
Yeah.
Because his project just spikes and then it's done. And so I thought on Earthworm Jim, I'm going to reach out to my Bigfoot Bill backers, and 3,300 of them are going to come in. That did not happen. I think only, and I've gotten nothing but positives. Everyone said in the book, I ripped you off. I got more than I thought. Only about, on the first couple of days, I think I was up to 1,000 of them. I'm going, why didn't all 3,300 of them come in? Right?
I don't know, because I'm terrified personally.
man, when he launches, they're there and ready. So there's something with the marketing or something with his communication with them that is missing from my strategy. I need to know what it is.
Yeah.
Well,
No, I was just gonna say that is his crowdfunding campaigns. I mean, they're video productions. There's this or that. He brings in professionals. He has a warehouse. I mean, he's got a whole production team together for this. And another thing he does is he really, really involves his fans personally.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point where they can all go and spend a weekend with him, basically.
Yeah.
One time a year. So I mean, and the feedback he gets to them, I mean, he makes it so incredibly personal and so incredibly entertaining that I think it's almost like it's like waiting for that next party. Like, oh yeah, his parties are the best parties. He throws them every 3 months. We're going to that party. And
I
that's
see
what
the
he does.
attraction and I see the intimacy, and then they're coming back in loyal. There's something about them where they're plugged in a way because they all know when it comes.
Yeah.
And they bury him alive with backing.
Yep. And the thing is that he too, though, it's that passion like you have, but he throws it back into the business.
Yeah.
He throws everything back into the production. You think that he's raised $300,000 on Lady Death, and oh my God, he's going to make a $200,000 profit. No way.
No.
He bought a building. He's building a museum. He has, like I said, the conference room, the whole state of the art production facility from for not only just the book, but then also in the shipping. And he gets that book out, and he gets it, and he delivers it, and he engages in each and every one of his fiends. And I'll bet you anything that he knows the name and of every single one of those fiends that he has, that he calls them by sight when he sees them. Because
that's right.
He loves them because he does also. He knows, and he's a giant ball of positive energy.
He is
very inspiring when you talk to him. When we go to dinner with them, at least once, we try to go at least one night in San Diego, and we adore them. We just adore them, and I joke and say I'm the kid brother he never wanted, you know. And but I'll definitely introduce you guys, and you guys.
I'd love it. He's a class act and
carrots.
Class act.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, class act all the way.
Definitely. Hey, he's our first guest.
Yeah,
he doesn't normally do those things, but I mean, he was like, "Oh yeah, for you guys, let's do it."
He took us on the tour, and it was great.
Cool.
And again, because he gets it, and the people, you guys out there too, we all love this, and we do this for our passion, and it is so great. We are excited, and we're kind of astonished that, like I said, you had 3,300 backers and all, but it is a business.
It's a business,
It's a business.
This is my plan A, man. Yep. I don't have other income. This is my plan A.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's all about building, and I'm in it for the long game. So I'm not trying to make a quick kill. I'm talking about a 5-year plan about building on each campaign, making it bigger, better. Each time, with my knowledge, leveraging it and seeing what I can do and what I want to make the most obscene books anyone's ever made, like as far as over the top.
Yeah.
Crazy glitter, gold leafing. I'm looking into glow-in-the-dark paint on the cover, like they print with glow-in-the-dark stuff. I'll do little cutout windows and things and stuff. Put little secret envelopes in the book where everyone can pull out a little map or something.
There you go.
Like halfway through the story and chapter. I've got all these ideas I want to do. It's going to take. I'm in it for the long game.
Yes.
Well, Doug, we definitely have to talk about your printer. And I might have to, especially for She. I think we're all set for Zombie Sama because, again,
I will set you up with him. CPI Robert Smith. CPI Robert Smith is my guru. That guy has a passion for making great books.
Now, does he only do the bigger size, or because comic?
He does everything. He does most of Kevin Eastman's books. Eastman's books, and a couple of Marvel books he's done.
We got to get Kevin Eastman on the show.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah. He's just a passionate, great guy. He loves books. He'll talk to you about it. You just ask him, say, look, I want to bid this and that. It's a bit of a clusterfoo over there as far as getting the bid because it runs through an entire department that does that, and it's all on a grid and stuff. Hard to read. And I'm just going like, look, give me an eyeball, an estimate. He's like, no, I got to run it through and get you the bids. So you have to tell them like page number, paper quality, book size. Just get all your facts in a row and then say, throw me a number. And they're good. They're
Okay,
good.
I got a question. Not me. Mob Seed has a question. Thoughts on how to bring down the price of crowdfunded comics to increase mass appeal? No, because I know you're doing this very boutique, high end. I mean, you're like a European. I mean,
I
you're
know. That's
literally
what I'm
like
doing.
Europeans do it.
I
Have
want
you
to raise
thought
the price. I want to raise the price.
You do
I
you
want-
because you're a madman because you just want it to be, you know.
everyone else is do. I want to be. I want to be a BMW. I want to be a BMW. I want to be the top tier, boutique, beautiful book, the kind of thing you put on that. So my model is different. Now I still have to watch my margins, of course, and you know I can't just put out a $75 book, but.
And you have to pay your bills too, though. So you could take a little more money for yourself too.
I definitely need to make some money. Would be good someday. So, but I'm so committed. Well, I'll put it this way: Bigfoot Bill right now. You know, I sent a box of the comic books into Hollywood and like 20 studios right now. And that is a movie deal. I don't have to make money on the book. I can just keep pumping it back in and make the most. I'll glue 100 golf tees all over the next book cover and make it like a porcupine. It'll just be the most obscene, crazy thing. I'll cover them in Angora Bigfoot hair. It'll be like brown hair.
I love that.
I'm just going. I've got crazy ideas. I want to try fold out pages, like do a comic that's all fold out pages and stuff. Each page you go and you. So I want to break the panels. You know, like to break the page, to compose a comic page for like a double or triple wide fold out, and you read it all the way across like this, or a big 3-page spread or something, like the biggest page spread you could imagine. Those kinds of things I can do, but I need more backers. I need the backers to get behind me first. I can fly bigger, harder, faster if I can get more backers. And if I can get the backers going and I can get a Hollywood deal, we'll be making the craziest books and free marketing on that a TV show or something. And you cannot ever get it in a store. You can only get it from me.
I love that.
Yeah.
We'll never get it from anybody else. You will never get a digital download. So if it gets as big as Ninja Turtles or something, I'm just going to be selling my books through Indiegogo. So come on, people.
There you go. Man, I love that it's back in there. I love that you can only get it through Indiegogo.
Yeah, and the day these things deliver.
It's fascinating. It's
the day these things deliver, no one wants to sell them on eBay. But the moment they throw one of these $25 books on eBay, it's $100 the day it delivers.
Yeah.
So I'm bringing, my comics are instantly collectible. My sketchbooks that I did through Kickstarter, those were $25. They go for $400 each.
Wow.
Because I only made 1,800 of them. They're instantly collectible. So even my backers know, like, the problem is it's so valuable they don't want to sell them. So they're, you know what I mean? It's like they're afraid to put them. You put them on eBay, they go like that. When was the last time that a comic went triple its value the day that it came out?
Yeah.
So in a way, the exclusivity and the only way they can get them is when I open my store every 6 months. That really is the Polito model. When I open my store every 6 months is when you can get them, and you can't get them any other time other than buying them from other backers, and you're making them money for their investment and the risk they took. Yeah. That's how I'm doing it. I want to make these books to be the rarest, craziest thing where everyone has to get them as soon as the store opens. They got to get in. That's what I want, is that panic.
I want to do that too. I love that.
Each of us are doing different business models, right?
Yeah.
And Ethan first opened up the Bigfoot Bill, man, and going like, I got my ass kicked. Until everyone saw my shipping problems with shipping, a 2-pound book international. No one wants that trouble. And I'm telling everyone, like, if you think you want to go hardbound, you better think very carefully about going hardbound, because it's something that you can't just run into. And everyone likes the big book, but no one likes how little money I'm making on it, and no one likes how much all the shipping is and everything. So each of us, Bill, have like different business models that we're trying. Each one's an experiment, right? All this crowdfunding. And I'm just studying all of them to see what people are doing and what's working.
Well, Doug, we put in for San Diego Comic-Con for a crowdfunding comics panel. Going on that panel, it looks J.C. Vaughn, the vice president of the Overstreet Price Guide, will be moderating it, and I'm pulling in some of the big names. I'm going to ask Brian Polito will be there. Some of the other guys, maybe Jimmy can come on. And would you be interested in coming on to that show with us?
Dude, I would love it.
It would be so much fun. I think
I would love it.
5 minutes us doing this, and
Yeah.
wunderbar. Thank you.
Ba-boom.
I'll talk to you about that exactly. So
Doug
I don't know.
TenNapel, how to make 200 grand on an unknown character.
Sure, how about now 300 we're going.
Yeah, we're going up, dude. I'm going to kill this thing. I'm going to break this market. I'm going to blow it up. This is going to be, I see a huge future for this indie crowdfunding comics. I think this is where we will all end up. We're all going to end up there. And the big names at DC and Marvel, they're all going to end up here too.
Yeah.
They want to start owning their own IP, and they can make almost as much doing their own IP, selling those things wherever they want, doing whatever they want with their characters, anything they want. This is where we'll all be. I'm giving it 2 years.
Oh, I agree with it because a lot of them, they have like, Scott Snyder and those guys and Greg Capullo. They have Doug, who's their manager. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who books his shows. And he can handle, he can hire people to do the whole production aspects of it. So it's almost like they'd be doing the same thing they're doing now at DC or Marvel, but they're their own IP. So that's why this is our time to get in before those, say the mainstream guys. But then again, Ethan did a thing on his show about the numbers, and you look at it, Spider-Man selling one of the Spider 19,000 or something like that.
It's nothing. Is that Ryan Otley? I love Otley.
I don't know who, but he was going through the things, and I went to his website. I saw it yesterday. I watched it, and just like Batman is selling in the low 60s.
Yeah, Sean Gordon Murphy, one of the greatest artists in comics. By the way,
he's
here,
amazing.
He's a buddy of mine,
Oh my God, you got to introduce me to him.
Just as a gift, he gave me a page of Batman. This is a page from Batman White Knight. Original Sean Gordon Murphy, and I get my big ugly paws. I don't get all precious. There's his signature right there. I don't get all precious with my original art. I love it. I hug it. I rub it all over my face. I'm doing trace overs where I'm trying to learn what the hell he's doing with his ink, because I'm looking at this thing before my very eyes and I don't get how he does it.
He's brilliant. He's brilliant.
He's a good guy, too. I'm telling you, he is meat and potatoes good.
Oh, I'd love to meet him. Where is he from?
Gosh, where was it? I first met him at Meltdown in LA, probably 10 or 15 years, probably 15 years ago.
Okay.
And, where was he at? I was home. I don't know.
He's brilliant. Tell him I think he's brilliant, and I'm a fan, a super fan.
Yeah, so even that guy, the Batman sales, that's not his fault. He's a top tier Batman guy.
Yeah.
And it's 80,000 copies on a book. It's nothing like what it used to be in the 90s. There were million copies. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's
I know.
shrinking, buddy. It's shrinking. You remember when we had that dinner at Comic-Con? When was that? Probably 8 years ago.
Yeah.
When Mark Rogers put it together for that dinner.
Yeah. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
You told me about the Nativity book that you were doing. And you had cracked this great thing where you said comic book stores, there's only X amount of them left. And you looked up how many Bible bookstores there were.
Yeah.
And I said, you're doing a Bible bookstore book, really? And you said, dude, the Action Bible is the top selling comic book of the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Sergio, what's his name?
Sergio Cariello.
And I'm doing this Nativity book that's going into Bible bookstores, and you outsold like basically what any comic store was doing, because you looked at the numbers of how small the comics are. And I would say comic stores, there's probably 1,000 less than there were then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The trajectory is troubling.
Yeah, but then and you get these poor retailers, though, 2 years ago at the New York Comic Con, where there was a revolt at Marvel.
Yep.
And basically, and Marvel said, well, Marvel, and the marketing guy said this to these room full of retailers, and said, well, Marvel doesn't sell books, doesn't sell comics to the people that are in your store. Marvel sells comics to the people that are outside your store looking in, like the people that go to the movies.
Yeah.
They come into your store and they want to buy a Marvel comic. And then the retailer's like, yeah, but those people in the movies aren't in our comics.
Yeah, exactly.
People aren't there. Thor isn't there. You know, Thor's
That's right.
woman. You know, Iron Man's a little girl. You know,
That's
those characters aren't there. You took those characters away. And now you're forcing us to buy this crap. That's kind of what started a lot of it all. And
That's
then
right.
there's a big revolt. They walked out. And then that's when one of the guys said, well, it's obvious to us that comic book retailers do not want diversity.
Yeah.
And then and I talked to my retailer buddies. They're like, where the hell did that come from? No one ever said that.
Yeah.
You're forcing us to buy product that nobody wants.
Yeah.
And I think because maybe it's a write-off that, you know, when you're a public.
I don't get it. But all I know is this is a store going to the big two and saying, we want to help you make money.
Yeah.
We're experts, so we're our fingers on the pulse of the buyer. We know what will bring us Thor, manly Thor, lightning, you know, beating the crud out of people with his hammer, and they won't give him just a normal, mainstream, good, great comic, and then the stores can't sell it. They're saying we can't make you money. We want to make you money.
It's like they don't want to. I mean, I went through it with Sergeant Rock, and one of the guys was like, well, we want to get you on. And I think they said, I think they said, and knock on wood, but they said Chris Matthews, Rachel Maddow, NPR. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I'd love to get on them. But I said, but you know what? Get me on Hannity. Get me on O'Reilly.
Yeah.
The fans, and they're much bigger numbers. And then he goes, yeah, you know, guys like O'Reilly and Hannity, they just use the veterans to get their political point across.
Brother.
First off, then I'm like, so what? You're trying to sell a property. And secondly, but these veterans don't take shit from anyone. They don't suffer any fools.
Yeah.
If someone's trying, you know, but they just didn't want to go that route, and they absolutely refused to do it.
Yeah,
that's
they're not watching Rachel Maddow.
Yeah, Rachel Maddow doesn't want to talk about Sergeant Rock, about American heroes. You know what I mean? They don't want to talk about that. Not, you know, fighting in the mud and muck in northern France in 1944. Yeah. She doesn't talk about that.
Yeah. Rachel Maddow is going like, so this is about the army, so they're the villains. So who's the good guy in your comic?
Yeah, you know, weird things like that. And I was like, oh man, you know, and it breaks your heart. And then I talked to the editor-in-chief, and he's like, I don't know where that came from, but you know, it's a big company, you know, so who knows?
Yeah.
That's I apologize.
Well, my job is not to fix their company nor comic stores. It's their job to fix that and to adapt and basically comic stores, maybe they'll become Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering stores is kind of how they have to make their income, or all the stores I know are selling stuff on eBay. They're getting their backlog comics, like they became an eBay house. That's what a comic store has become. That's what they've have to resort to. So they have to adapt or go away. And this is our adaptation, is writing on the wall of what was going to happen with all this woke stuff. And pretty soon I was going to be unemployable. Like no one was going to publish my indie stuff. So I said, I bet I'm going to get way ahead of the curve on this. I'm going to start getting my backers who want to help me. And frankly, I love them because they take care of my family. Like this is my family plan. And I have no other plan. Like this is my plan. I think it's going to work.
It will.
It's all sunshine and fun for us, Billy.
Yep, indeed. Onward and upward. I can't wait. I can't friggin' wait. I was talking to Brian. He's like, I can see in your voice. Like I can hear in your voice of how excited you are. Like I said, I did a whole bunch of stuff today, and I tweeted it out. And if anybody's out there, because now I am into the Twitter and I want people to follow me, I'm at Billy Tucci.
At Billy Tucci. Follow at Billy Tucci.
Yeah, Billy Tucci. On the Twitter.
On the Twitter.
Yeah, so I'm doing all this stuff. I did, like I said, interviews, phone calls. I'm doing word balloon placement. I did it all for the Zombie Sama book. If I may pitch my own crap real quick.
Always.
I've been busting my ass on it, so all of us had. But so here's, you know, the whole Zombie Sama book. See. You know, and then I just love doing my word balloon placements and all. And this is all ready to go. As soon as my editor says, okay, that, you know, maybe move this, fix that, this is going to Mindy Lopkin, our designer and letterer, tomorrow. And get that bad boy out. So, you know, I was doing this. I was working on, you know, just working on a whole bunch of other stuff. Next thing I knew, Doug and Nile, it's 7 p.m. I'm like, holy crap, where did they go? I didn't even eat lunch. And I loved it. and I'll lose weight, and I can't wait. I'm going to smoke a cigar at night and talk to my friends online, and I'm going to draw in the morning on my webpage, and I'll draw with you, Doug, and then Nile, I'll laugh with you and talk to you. And this is our golden age. This is our time. This is all your time out there too, people, that if you guys want to do this, and as Doug was saying and listening to his passion, that you guys are helping our families. You guys are saving our families, or you're supporting us when a lot of the stream may not be interested in supporting us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, and don't complain about the big two. They're not our problem.
Right.
No.
We're all waiting for someone to helicopter us out. Big two, come down and save us. None of that. This is going to be ground up. The bottom, the independent little guy is going to save comics from the bottom up, because the top two don't count on it. We're going to do it. And when we need that, and even more granular than us is our backers that support us are like these. That is the actual audience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The actual audience is going to come in from the ground up, and we're going to save comics. We're basically making our own, and pretty soon we'll all be connected, Billy, just like we used to be in comic. Me, you, Polito, EVS.
Yeah.
There'll be all these big guys coming into indie comics. We're all going to be knowing each other, supporting each other, and we're just going to create this huge foundation, and then it's going to rebuild back up, and normies are going to come in, the pedestrian who wants to get the big guy. The problem is, Thor was invented 60 years ago.
Yeah.
70 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like we need new iconic characters that people can love, and we need to stick with them and walk them through and give them the big epic, so there's something there to buy.
American mythology. We are the makers of American mythology.
Yeah. I love that.
So,
all right, guys, we've been on for almost 3 hours.
Oh my God! And thank you, Doug, because I know that you have a big YouTube channel. Nile and I both know that you have a huge YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And when you're on, you make money. You know what I mean? And you gave up your own income for your family, for us, and we appreciate that.
Oh man, no, you got to give back.
Yeah, and whenever you want us on, we're there.
I'll get you on, dude. I'll get you on my 11,000 subscribers.
Well,
We'll get you on. We'll put the link to this show down there, and we'll just do this show over there. We'll do talk comics. Of course, my OBS is basically.
We'd love it, and thank you. I mean, you're great. Like I said, we're fans. I think you're one of the nicest, one of the best people I've ever met. And like I said, I'll support you through and through. And
Billy, you've always been there for me, dude.
So
everyone else falls away. Billy's going to be there for me. I'm not worried.
There you go.
Thank you, my friend.
And you're only $184 away from 160,000.
$184, guys. $184. It's so close to 160. We're getting there. Someone buy a page.
There you go. So we've got
I buy one. I'm so tapped out with this damn book. I can't believe how expensive it is.
Yeah.
He was telling me about the shipping, and shipping right now is like, and printing, shipping. We're over $30,000 for that stuff. We're not, and we have the money in the bank and everything like that, and the bank account's in there. But holy cow, because we didn't charge shipping. A lot of things we didn't, like domestic.
Oh, don't do that.
No. And then Ethan made a call out, and people started donating $10 to us and stuff. We didn't know.
Yeah, I do that too. I got in trouble with shipping, and I asked for money, and said, "Look, guys, I asked for $15 shipping international on what was going to be a 48-page floppy book." And now this thing is a beast. It's almost 3 pounds. Wow. And I need you guys to kick in some money. And I did. My came in and they gave me 20 individually. And by the way, there's people out on Twitter that were criticizing me, saying, "Oh, he's begging for money," whatever. There's always that element out there. But because the backers care and like you, they donate. They realize that you're in trouble and that you need help. But when Bigfoot Bill started shipping out to my shipper, and this is just the first check they had me cut. They go, "Look, we've racked up a lot of shipping, and we don't like being out this far." I had to cut them a check for $40,000. That was just the first check. My next check is we're gonna get the next one's bill's gonna come in a couple of weeks, and it will probably be well into my profit margin, well into what I'm making on this book will come out of that. So we're not going to clear much. I'm still thrilled to be in this position.
It's it's a good problem to have.
It's a great problem to have. What
Yes.
book company is going to let me do this of an unknown character? What book company is going to put this kind of money up on a print run with gold leafing, embossing? Who's going to do that? Who's the primo company that does that? None of them.
Yeah.
On Bigfoot Bill, no one's heard of it. On Bigfoot Bill, really?
Beautiful.
My backers did me better than every publisher in America. My backers are more about books than a book publisher.
Mm-hmm.
Make that make sense.
Incredible.
Backers are awesome. My backers are the best.
Backers are the best.
Incredible. Just incredible.
So, and then speaking of needing some backers, as I went through the comments, Ryan Cardinal brought up his Indiegogo campaign,
like his.
and we are going to put this up. It's Caius, A Story of Blood and Stone.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play the video. Now, this is new. I haven't seen any of this. I've been waiting.
I've seen it. It's good.
Have you seen it? All right, so we'll get this up.
Wow.
That was impressive.
Isn't that a killer? That is a killer video.
Yes, it is. Killer video. So, guys, check out Caius. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Caius.
Caius.
K-A-I-A-S.
Wow, it's like Jeff Smith meets anime and manga.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. You can tell he loves. Look at all that. He loves it. It's going to be fun. This is a neat book too. I really like the look of it. I like the characters a lot. I like black and white spotting and the action, dynamic camera stuff.
Very cool. All right, guys. Again, Doug, thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciated every minute of it.
Did you check my Indiegogo?
Let's see where we're at. Let's check now. I'm going to refresh it.
Get the refresh on there.
Yes, we did it. $160,015.
See that?
There you go.
Crowdfunding Comics show. A bunch of crowdfunding happened. What the hell? It's truth in advertising.
That's crazy.
Well done, my friend. Well done.
Right, congratulations.
Hey, thanks to you guys.
You got your Twitter and all that. Your Twitter and your Instagram and all that jazz.
Who cares? It's I'm Doug TenNapel on YouTube. I have a show too. That's all.
Nice.
And really, Twitter's poison. But,
It is.
Doug
But
TenNapel on YouTube. We do a show every morning at 11 o'clock is what we do.
Well, I will be tuning in tomorrow. I'm going to be going on at 9 o'clock. I have to do a commission for someone from Cowboy Bebop. I've never done it before, so I'm excited about it. She's this
Nice.
sexy girl. I forget her name. I got to look it up. But she's one of the stars of Cowboy Bebop, and I'll be doing that tomorrow. And for you guys out there, and I am going to care about Twitter right now because I am 15 followers away from 3,300. So
there you go.
Share. Tell your friends to follow me. Your old pal Billy Tucci.
Yeah, I was there when you only had like 9 followers, so we were pumping you up that way back.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah. So thank you. So
All right.
Anything you want to share before we let our illustrious compadre leave and go to bed?
I'm ready to go. I had a great time. This is fantastic. And Doug, I'll be in touch with you for some of our how-to instructional videos if you are interested.
And next week we're doing a family vacation. We planned it a year ago in Florida, so we're out next week. And after that, we'll be back and ready to
Perfect.
All right. God bless you, Doug. Great to see you, my friend.
You're my brother.
See you soon, brother.
All day, and Nile, great to meet you.
Oh, great meeting you.
It's my pleasure, guys. Keep up the great work.
All right, thanks.
Tally-ho,
Have a great night, everyone. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
Thank you all for coming. See you guys later. Thanks. Good night.
Hey guys, thanks again for tuning into Crowdfunding Comics. We look forward to hanging out with all of our crowdfunding fans every time we go live. And don't forget to click the link below and subscribe to our channel. And there's a little bell. You may want to hit that too. This way you get all the great notifications when we go live and when we upload some awesome content. You want to follow us? Sure, go right ahead at Twitter at CrowdFundComics with an X, Instagram, Crowdfunding Comics, and Facebook at Crowdfunding Comics. Till next time, crowdfunding fans, we'll see you soon.